like sneezing or talking or coughing. These droplets, they just land in the mouth or nose of people who are nearby. As you know, a sneeze can travel for a distance of, the droplets can travel a distance of, say, 6 feet. So we avoid, that is the reason why it's advised to have a maintain social distance and wear a mask and all that we are going to discuss. So COVID-19, it's important to know that people who don't have any symptoms like cough, fever, breathlessness, they as well may spread the disease. These are the silent carriers, wherein these people are in the incubation period, wherein the virus is not fully exhibiting itself. So this asymptomatic carriers is a big issue, and that is the reason why we should take more of preventive measures like social distancing, hygiene, and which we are going to discuss. So it's like more likely when people are in close contact with one another. So how does it spread? A person can get COVID-19 by touching a surface or object that has a virus on it, and that touching their mouth, nose, and eyes. And knowingly or unknowingly, all of us, we tend to touch our face at least 2 to 3 times a day. So this has been noticed. So that is the importance of wearing a mask and proper hygiene that we'll talk. Does COVID-19 spread through air? No, none at all. So far, there is no evidence that the virus is spreading through the air or through the air conditioning systems. But we do advise not to use much of air conditioning. That is, we are talking about a concealed space wherein the viral droplets can stay in the air for sufficient length of time if there are enough infected people. So studies up to date suggest that COVID-19 spread mainly through person to person or by touching contaminated objects or surfaces by the infected person. So how long does the virus survive on the surface? This is a very interesting study wherein surfaces can be cleaned with the routine disinfectant like Lysol or routine disinfectant that is available in the, everywhere. So on a copper vessel, a typical copper vessel, it stays for 4 hours. So any cardboard or anything, it will stay for a couple of hours. So more than 3 days or 4 days for any plastic surface, where it survives in the sense that the virus is active and it can spread to other if you touch the surface. So as always, clean your hands with alcohol-based hand rub, a hand sanitizer, the importance, make it a habit, like make it an obsession. Have a hand sanitizer almost every half an hour, 1 hour, nothing wrong with it. Bottom line, nothing more disinfecting than a soap water. A regular soap, that's more than enough. Remember, avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose. So can I catch COVID-19 from my pet? This is another interesting study. People are really worried if they can catch from their pet dog, pet cat, or other. So a few studies have been seen. Only one infected case from Hong Kong has been mentioned in the documents, and 2 relevant cases recent times in USA. But there is no convincing proof that the dog, cat, and any pet can transmit COVID-19. So how is COVID-19 diagnosed? Diagnosis may be difficult with only a physical examination because a mild case of COVID-19, like we were talking, an asymptomatic carrier, he appears normal except for just a common cold or a similar like a flu. So we need a laboratory test to confirm the diagnosis. So nowadays the government is actively doing cluster surveillance and all that with a simple blood test, an antibody test, or a viral test. A swab is taken from the nasopharynx and it is done. So how is COVID-19 treated? As of now, vaccine is still in the trial area, so it's in the testing phase. An active vaccine is something like 6 months to 1 year from now. So we don't have a vaccine for it. And, so it's always who becomes sick with COVID-19, we treat them with supportive measures. That is symptomatic treatment. So how is common cold caused by coronavirus, the virulent COVID-19 treated? Plenty of rest, lots of fluids, warm sips of water regularly, every 10 minutes. So you can take an over-counter medication for your sore throat and fever. And yeah, don't do aspirin for children. And the humidifier and steamy shower to ease sore throat is very good. And remember, for severe symptoms like we discussed, breathlessness, patient unable to walk, there's a weakness of the lips, definitely you should get checked in the COVID hospital. Are antibiotics effective in treating or preventing COVID-19? Virus, for that matter, COVID-19 or any other virus, antibiotics are not at all effective. It's always a secondary bacterial infection that we are treating. Otherwise, no antibiotics work on a virus. Okay? They only work on the bacterial infections. So, now, how to protect yourself and others? First of all, know how it spreads. 1, from person to person contact. Wash your hands often, make it a regular habit. Use a hand sanitizer, alcohol-based, and as when possible, soap water is the best and ideal way to sterilize yourself. A COVID-19 virus exposed to soap water dies off in seconds. That is the reason the government has been extensively campaigning about the use of washing hands for 40 seconds. So the other important thing is practicing social distancing. So maintain a minimum social distance, say minimum 6 feet to 10 feet always helps. Wear a mask. It's very much important that all wear a mask. And if you have cold or cough, take care. Don't sneeze on the face of any other. Use your elbow or use your as a tissue paper to hide it. So clean and disinfect. Avoid smoking. Smoking is dangerous, and always wear mask. Now we are talking about washing hands, which forms the mainstay in the management of coronavirus infection and prevention of spread. Washing the hands thoroughly is the most important part of the management of coronavirus infection. So wash your hands with soap and running water, visibly dirty, minimum 40 seconds to 1 minute, not very dirty. Okay, frequently clean them by using a hand sanitizer. So make it a habit. To wash hands with soap and water almost every before lunch. Once you go to the toilet. So once you go out, make it a habit. Protect yourself and others from getting sick by washing hands always after coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick in the house or anywhere, before, during, and after you prepare food, most important, before eating. So the age-old Indian habits still hold strong in as far as the COVID infections are concerned. Surprisingly, the COVID infection, the one virus that is prevalent in India so far, the statistical evidence and the death rate and all that shows Indians seem to be responding well. I think they're taking good care. And if you can continue this social distancing and hand hygiene and wearing a mask, all these help. Now, this is a fact, okay, these are not at all useful. Actually, this can be very toxic and dangerous. Never drink methanol, ethanol, or bleaching. They don't prevent, and it can be toxic and dangerous also. Now, you can always protect others from getting sick because this always transfers from person to person. So coughing and sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with your flexed elbow tissue, throw it in the dustbin, and clean your hand with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. So I have got these slides from World Health Organization. So you can protect others from getting sick by avoiding close contact. So no shaking hands, no touching others. So the traditional way of namaskaram is always helps. So avoid spitting in public. And remember, if you have fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, urgently seek medical advice. The sooner the better. Because not only are you infecting and creating trouble for yourself, you may be a potential contamination and a source of infection for all your family members. Now, so does exposing yourself to the sun or high temperatures higher than 25 degrees, so now we have something like 35 to 40 degrees in AP. Does it prevent or cure COVID-19? No, it does not cure COVID-19. Does it help? Maybe it will help, but it doesn't cure and it doesn't stop the disease. So just because you have gone out on a hot, windy day doesn't help you. Okay. Now, another important aspect is regarding the food safety. For all the non-vegetarians, use different chopping boards and knives for raw meat and cooked food. While touching raw meat, always take extreme care. Wash your hands thoroughly up to the elbow. Make it handle before, after. And our Indian way of cooking is always ideal. Boiling is excellent. So again, yeah, like I said, wash your hands between handling raw and cooked food. Now, practicing food safety. Yeah, I think nobody does this, but sick animals and animals that have died of disease should not be eaten. Yes. So, does the new coronavirus affect older people or are younger people also susceptible? Now, this is an interesting point. So, older people, yes, because of lowered immune resistance. Most of the older people, they may have irregular blood pressure levels, diabetic, heart condition. Yes, they are definitely prone with those comorbid conditions. But what about younger people? It has been seen that, particularly in Indian scenario, younger age group are also getting affected, and these people, they seem to be the asymptomatic carriers for the disease in India. So in the sense, they don't overtly show the symptoms.
Dr. Sharma garu, excuse me, Dr. Sharma garu.
Hello? Yes.
Could you be a little bit louder, sir? Some persons could not hear you. Could you be a little bit louder?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So I'll come closer. So another fact, how can you recover from the coronavirus disease? Is it clear? Hello?
Okay, sir. Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Catching the new coronavirus does not mean you'll have to live it for life. So, okay. So, just like any other viral infection, so people do have a tendency to develop a herd immunity wherein they develop resistance and they can get on with it. Now, the final message: stay home, stay safe, follow hygiene, and save lives. If you do not spread the disease by close contact, you are saving yourself as well as saving the country. So, thank you so much. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything, please, yes, let me know. Yes, Dr. Tirupaniam, please.
Dear participants, we could not unmute you all. Kindly raise your hands. Anybody who wishes to ask any queries, kindly raise your hands so that we can allow you to interact with Dr. Sharma. If anybody wishes to interact with Dr. Sharma, okay, kindly raise your hands. Hello, anybody there?
If there are any messages also, we can read it.
You can also leave a message.
Yeah, they can message as well. Yeah, I think you can go for the next speaker. And meanwhile, if anyone has a query, I would love to answer that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Deborah, please.
Okay, Deborah Priya.
She wants to be unmuted. She wants to ask.
Sir, good morning, sir. So, according to the statistics, we have seen that more number of male persons were infected. Is there anything like male persons or the male candidates only would be infected? Is there any reason?
Yeah, like I can guess two reasons, valid reasons. One, males by nature, they're more with the social contact. They're getting exposed. That must be one reason. Number
Okay.
two, women by nature, it's God-given gift. The immune resistance of women is always better than men. So it always happens. So nothing specifically like basic tendency to the virus preferring males, that's not there. But
Okay.
you know, the person-to-person contact seems to be the main and biggest, and you know, the culprit.
Okay. So, one more thing you have mentioned about herd immunity, right?
Yeah.
So, can you please tell me what is herd immunity?
So, like in any, yes. So, like in any viral infection, there is no specific targeted treatment for virus, any virus for that matter.
Okay.
So that is the reason why we try to give a vaccine wherein the virus of less virulence antibodies are given for the body to develop resistance and fight back the viruses. Since we don't have a vaccine right now, vaccine is in the making. We have a lot of human trials going on. So it will take some time, a couple of months to a year or so. So meanwhile, what happens is as you get exposed knowingly or unknowingly, antibodies to this virus, you know, the fighting cells to this body slowly get accumulated in the body. So when it comes to a certain level, it really helps the body to fight back the virus. That is the immunity that is going to help. And once it comes in a group of people, that's called the herd immunity. And you know, that is the way usually all these pandemics, you know, they develop resistance always.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And one more thing, last one question, sir. We have seen that in your PPT, in one of the slides, we have seen that there are 4 different kinds of viruses. You have yes, you just put it in the slide, right?
Yes.
So, what are the reasons that it is getting muted? Because of mutations, it is changing. I mean, according to the latest news that we have got, we have seen that because of mutations, it is changing and it is a bit difficult for us to find out the vaccine, they said, right? So what could be the reasons that caused mutations in this virus?
Yeah. So I cannot see you. Yeah. So I can just tell you one thing. So this coronavirus, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This virus has started in a place called Wuhan. It started from a bat. The animal reservoir was a bat, no doubt about it. So there was a long study for so many years on the bat and this coronavirus species. So the bat is supposed to host almost 100 different varieties of viruses. So after them, genetic mutations do happen, and wherein either due to a human error or due to the close contact between the humans and the animals, and in the case of Chinese, because of their way of handling the raw food and eating raw meat, so it must have got transmitted. And once in the human host, it tries to adopt itself, modify, and tries to survive. It's always it does a genetic mutation. So it's a natural process. It has been happening with most of the viruses. And usually they respond according to the body response to the virus.
Okay,
So that is how it happens.
right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for interactive with Dr. Sharma? Okay, go ahead, V. Prabhakar Rao. Okay, V. Prabhakar Rao, you can go ahead.
Sir, good morning, everybody. I am Dr. V. Prabhakar Rao from Government Degree College, Puttur, Chittoor district. Sir, you have given very valuable information. I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, are you able to listen to me? Are you able to hear
Yes,
me?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question. It has been found and it has been given information that coronavirus is changing its structure. So the structure of coronavirus in America may be different from that in India. So there should be different vaccines, I suppose. The same vaccine, how it can attack coronavirus of different structures, sir?
Absolutely, your valid point. Yeah. So different virulence have been coming out. Maybe the Indian COVID-19 virus must be of different virulence than the American or Italian or Chinese. So we have our own studies going on in Pune and other places. So they're trying to prepare a vaccine as per our Indian population. It's still in human trials. Yes, so it works. It should work. So you're asking about thrush in the mouth is one of the cause. How to overcome it? Is that it? Question?
Yes.
See, please don't disturb. Na part vastund. Right?
Yeah. Regarding the thrush in the mouth. Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
So thrush in the mouth is something like it's a granular pharyngitis in the throat, wherein you find reddish papular lesions in the posterior pharyngeal wall. So these are nothing but an inflammatory response by the body to the virus. So the maximum viral store is in the back of the
ఎగిరిపోకుండా
nose.
పెట్టది పైన.
Yeah, it's in the back of the nose. That's called the nasopharynx, as well as in the throat. That is the reason why the nasal swabs and throat swabs are taken for testing. So that is the primary focus wherein they settle down initially before they spread down into the lungs.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, there is one more question, sir.
Yes.
For testing coronavirus, COVID-19, they are using swab. There is a new technique I heard that by counting the antibodies, you can find the coronavirus very effectively. Is it true, sir? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, dear participant, it seems the link has gone. Hello, Dr. Sharma, are you there? Hello. Okay, then, sir, it seems there is some technical snag with signal. Anyhow, thank you very much for your interactions. Hello. After this entire webinar is over, we'll let you again interact with the 4 resource persons again. Okay, then you can get your doubts clarified. Okay, now I request the head of Department of Zoology to take over.
Thank you very much, sir, indeed, for your inspiring lecture. Hope that our participants were enlightened on various issues related to the COVID and its aspects. It is the time for session 2. I request Srimati Rajeshwari, lecturer in English, to introduce Dr. G. Swati, Assistant Professor Zoology, GDC Puttur. Principal sir is requested to unmute the microphone of Srimati Rajeshwari, madam.
Okay, it has already been unmuted, ma'am.
Okay. Madam, you can proceed. Rajeshwari, madam is requested to proceed.
Hello. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am Rajeshwari, lecturer in English from Government Degree College, Ravulapalem'S. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce Dr. G. Swati, resource person of this session. Dr. Swati is presently working as Assistant Professor of Geology in Government Degree College, Puttur. Dr. Swati did her PhD in SV University, Tirupati on the topic neuroprotective role of Bacopa muneria on Rottman-induced Parkinson's disease. She holds a postgraduate degree in multiple disciplines. She is an MSc in geology, organic chemistry, botany, and psychology. The most commendable aspect in her academics is that she got qualified in CSIR UGC JRF-NET in geology and organic chemistry, and also she cleared AP Set in botany and psychology, which means that she is well informed and knowledgeable in all the disciplines that she had taken up for study. Coming to her teaching experience, she has been teaching geology to undergraduate students since 2011, molecular biology, cell biology, and animal physiology to postgraduate students since 2012. She has 32 publications and 48 books to her credit. And she has attended several seminars, workshops, and conferences as a part of her research orientation. She's an active member in quite a few scientific associations and professional bodies like Cambridge Scholars Publishing House, World Journal of Pharmaceutical Science, etc. We are indeed honored to have you here, madam. I now request you to take over the platform and start the session. Thank you very much.
Swati, unmuted.
Madam, you have been
Thank you,
unmuted, Dr. Swati.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for your gracious introduction. Thank you. First of all, I want to introduce about viruses. My topic is going through the history of pandemics. Before going that, we need to know what are viruses, how they come into this world, and also are the viruses living things or dead things. So first we consider this question. We need a good understanding what we meant by life. Although specific definitions may have, biologists generally agree that all living organisms exhibit several key properties like growth, reproduction, maintain internal homeostasis, response to stimuli, and carry out various metabolic processes. In addition, population of living organisms evolve in over time. So, do viruses conform to these criteria? Yes or no? We actually have both the things, like it has a general key point, some key points of living organisms, and also it is dead when it is outside the host cell. It just comes to the host cell and hijacks whatever it is there in the host cell, and it forms its own protein coat and virus like structures. We probably realize that reproduce in some way, viruses reproduce in some way, so that if we are infected only some number of viral particles by inhaling them or by exposing to them, we become sick and these viruses replicate within themselves. Likewise, we probably realize that viruses are evolving. So we need to get what are viruses actually. It's a puzzle like thing. So if we are going on unlocking some things, the other things are coming out. So if you think viruses are bad things, we had some good things also about viruses, because we are now sitting and having a group discussion like this because due to the viruses only. As before the time of evolution of primal mammals, we don't have pleasant thing. So we are just egg-laying things only. When the HIV like virus affected us and it has given us a protein called syntin, which formed the basis of placenta. By this, we had unlocked placental mammals. Now we are all placental mammals, which gives us a good option that we are secure and we are also having good nutrition in the womb, and all the things goes to the intelligence, everything. So the viruses also had made us somewhat progressive in time. So if we take all these things, where do viruses come? There are so many debates, like viruses came from space, viruses arise before the life has come. And also some tell that viruses are the basis of the life, and there are so many debatable questions. So we need to know why, how the viruses had origin. There are now existing two theories, that is progressive theory and regressive theory. So if you think that viruses had origin first before the life and they had jumped into life forms, it is progressive. And regressive theory is like that when the cells are replicating, some of the material entities has been spilled over and they had become all the viruses like that. So whatever the theories are there, now we are existing in the world of viruses. So when we go to the history of viruses, so in the old statement, like Prophet Jeremiah warns the king of Jerusalem that all inhabitants of Jerusalem will die by the sword, famine, and pestilence. Pestilence means the epidemic. So this we can notice that even when writing the Old Testaments or anything that like this, they had mentioned about these epidemics. Epidemics has ravaged the humanity throughout the existence, and often changing the course of history throughout the history of human resources. Disease outbreaks have ravaged humanity, sometimes changing it's by mutating itself and signaling the end of the entire species. Also, some species have been wiped out. We don't know, is it true that dinosaurs are wiped out by meteorite or by some things like pandemic. So we will discuss about some of the pandemics from modern age, which we had noted. In prehistoric pandemic, about 5,000 years ago, an epidemic wiped out a prehistoric village in China. The bodies of the dead bodies were stuffed inside a house that was later burned down. No age group was spared, as the skeletons of the juveniles, young adults, middle-aged people were found inside the house. The archaeologist site is now called Hamin Mangha and is one of the best preserved prehistoric sites in northeastern China. Archaeological and anthropological study indicates that the epidemic happened quickly enough that there was no time for a proper burial and the site was not inhabited again. So that much the epidemics were going on before the prehistoric year. Before the discovery of Hamin Mangha, another prehistoric mass burial that dates to roughly the same time period was found at the site of Mayo Zigozu in northeastern China. Together, these discoveries suggest that an epidemic ravaged the entire region in prehistoric time. I mean, 5,000 years ago. It's not new, not now coming, the pandemics are coming now. And also we can say plague of Athens. It is 430 BC, not long after a war between Athens and Sparta began. An epidemic ravaged the people of Athens and lasted for 5 years. Some estimates the put death toll as high as 1 lakh people. The Greek historians like Thucydides wrote that people in good health were all of a sudden attacked by a violent heat in the head and redness and inflammation in the eyes. The inward parts such as the throat, tongue become bloody and emitted unnatural fetid breath. What exactly this epidemic has long been a source of debate among scientists. A number of diseases like it has symptoms like Ebola disease or a typhoid disease like vomiting, bloody, like this things. But we don't have some clear evidences because they are so small particles we couldn't extract from the old burial sites. Many scholars believe that overcrowding caused by the war exacerbated the epidemic. Sparta's army was stronger, forcing Athenians to take a refuge behind a series of fortifications called long walls that protected their city. Despite the epidemic, the war continued on and not ending until 404 BC when the Athens was forced to capitulate by Sparta. So this changed the history of Athens. And we can see now Antonian plague. When the soldiers, this has came about in 165 AD. When the soldiers returned to the Roman Empire from campaigning, they brought back more than the spoils of victory. So we can see when the soldiers are coming, they had been infected. The Antonian plague have been made by smallpox, which laid waste to the army, and they may have killed about 5 million people, 50 lakhs people in the Roman Empire. In many historians believe that epidemic was the first brought to the Roman Empire by soldiers returning home after a war against Parthia. The epidemic ended with 5 million people at death. And plague of Cypria. It occurred in AD of 250 AD, named after the saint Cyprian, a bishop of Carthage, who described the epidemic as signaling the end of the world. So we are hearing now the end of the world in 2012 or something like that. Before that, only in 250 AD, they thought this was the end of world by seeing all those deaths and everything. So this is the plague of Cyprian. In present days, in 2014, the archaeologist named Luxor, found that what appears to be a mass burial site of plague victims. Their bodies were covered with a thick layer of lime. We can say it is a disinfectant because they know that it is caused by a infection like bacteria or virus. So they had disinfectant it. Archaeologists found 3 kilns used for manufacturing of lime, only for lime, and the remains of plague victims burned in the remaining of the plague victims, their used cloth, their parts, everything, they had been burned by a giant bonfire. And now we are going to another big epidemic day, that is plague of Justinian. I think you had heard of the great king Justinian, AD. It was named after him. He had recovered by this plague also. It occurred in 541 AD. The Byzantine Empire was ravaged by the bubonic plague, which marked the start of its decline. So we can see the Justinian king was then the emperor who had ruled from Middle East to Western Europe. It was a vast kingdom. It has come down because of this plague. Some estimates that up to 10% of the world population has died due to this bubonic plague. The plague, named after Byzantine Emperor Justinian. Under his regime, it has a great extent controlling territory, and also he has a very good control over this, but the history has changed again, because never again the Middle East was ruled, Middle East and Western Europe were united. Justinian constructed a great cathedral known as Hagia Sophia, Holy Wisdom, in Constantinople, the empire's capital, Justinian, has got struck by the plague and survived. However, the empire gradually lost its course of history, and because due to the struck of plague, Black Death in 1346 to 1353. The Black Death traveled from Asia to Europe, leaving the devastation in its wake. Some estimates suggest that it wiped out half of the Europe's population. It was caused by a strain, the bacterium Yersinia pestis. That is likely extant today. I think this type of bacterium is not now existed now. And it was spread by fleas and rodents. The bodies of the victims were buried in mass graves. The plague changed the course of history again in Europe. We can see the Aztec. You know about the Aztec kingdom, right? I mean, like in Red India. In North America, South America, there was a great pyramids also constructed, like in Egypt. There are also so many pyramids, but we don't find so many civilization now. Where have they been gone? So there has been some explanation. This was contributed again by these epidemics. This is known as Coco-Leacholi epidemic. This has affected in 1545 and 1548. The infection that caused the Coco-Leacholi epidemic was a form of a viral hemorrhagic fever that killed about 15 million inhabitants of Mexico and Central America. Just in Mexico and Central America only, it had killed about 150 lakh people among a population already weakened by extreme drought. Before the coming of this Coco-Leacholi epidemic, there was a severe drought which has taken away so many population, and again by hit, again the hit came in the form of a Coco-Leacholi epidemic. This is proved utterly catastrophic to the Aztec world. This Coco-Leacholi means in Aztec the pest. As if the pest is affected in a field, all the things will be gone. Like that only, this affected the people, and the people had paid their cost. In the recent study, they examined the DNA from the skeletons of victims, found that they were infected with a subspecies of Salmonella known as Salmonella paratyphi C, which causes enteric fever, a category of fever that includes like typhoid. Enteric fever can cause high temperature, high fever, dehydration, gastrointestinal problems, and is still major health threat today. Now also typhoid fever is a threat. American plague in 16th century. We can see now the data is going from we are coming from prehistoric days to now we are in 16th century in the American plague. The American plague are a cluster of Eurasian diseases brought. These diseases helped Spanish force to led by Hernán Cortés, conqueror of Aztec. Again, they were brought again from Spanish army, Spanish forces. Hernán Cortés, conqueror of Aztec capital in 1519 with another Spanish force. So the two forces has been fighting, and they had got this virus. So again, the Spanish took over the territories of both empires. In both cases, the Aztec and Incan armies have been ravaged by the disease and were unable to withstand the Spanish. So this made easy for Spanish to enter again into the South America. Great Plague of London. Here we can see in 1665 and 1666, the Black Death's last major outbreak in Great Britain caused a mass exodus from London, because led by King Charles II, because in London city they were dying, so they had began going away from London. The plague started in April 1665 and spread rapidly through the hot summer months. Fleas from the plague infected rodents were one of the main cause of the transmission. By the time of the plague ended, about 1 lakh people, including 15% of the population of London, have died. But this was not the end of that city's suffering. On September 2nd, again it had hit it back. In 1666, the Great Fire of London started, lasting for 4 days and burned down a large portion of the city. So these famine and everything were combined, drought and are combining with this epidemic, making the civilization to go down. So we are in a battle with viruses and bacteria and all these protozoans, whatever it is there. We are battling with them ever since the life has been origin from beginning of the starting of the life. Great Plague of Marcellus. We can see in 1720 to 1723 it has been. Historical record says that the Great Plague of Marcellus started when a ship called Grand Saint Antoine docked in Marseilles, France. It is in France, carrying a cargo of goods from the Eastern Mediterranean. Although the ship was quarantined, by that time they had been by seeing all the epidemics, they had invited the things like quarantino. It is a Latin Italy word, which means you should be quarantined. So when the ship arrives, no, they used to keep there only for 14 days or 15 days or 1 month, and again then the ship will be loaded back into the ship. But when it was quarantined, the fleas which affected the rodents in that has been again traveled. The fleas are traveling in the air, so they can't be quarantined. So plague quickly spread, and over the next 3 years, as many of 1 lakh people may have died in Marseilles and surrounding area. It's estimated that up to 30% of the population in Marseilles may have perished. That was the effect of Great Plague of Marseilles. So it has the name Great Plague. Great Plague of Marseilles in 1720 to 1720. Russian plague. This is also a plague which we need to study, because a plague ravaged in Moscow. The terror of quarantines citizens erupted into violence, riots, and spread through the city and culminated in a murder of Archbishop Ambrosius, who has encouraged crowds not to gather for worship. The Emperor of Russia, Catherine II, was also called Catherine the Great, was so desperate to contain the plague and restore public order that she issued a hasty decree ordering that all factories to be moved away from Moscow. By the time the plague ended, as many of 1 lakh people may have died. Even after the plague ended, the Catherine restored the order. In 1773, Yemian Pegavu, a man who had claimed to be a Peter III, again resulted in more deaths due to insurrection of many members to a meeting gathering. And in 1889, now we are going into a modern history of flu history. Here we can see this is a first flu pandemic in 1889. It lasted up to 1890. This in modern industrial age, new transport links made it easier for influenza virus to wreak the havoc. So when the industrial age has came, the transport has become very convenable for the diseases also to travel from one part of the world to the other. Not only we, the diseases are also very happy for the industrial age because they are also traveling. Make it easier for influenza virus to wreak the havoc. In just a few months, the disease spanned the globe and killed about 1 million people. This is the first flu which we had recorded that it had killed 1 million people, 10 lakhs people in the globe. It just took 5 weeks for the epidemic to reach its peak mortality. Now we can see, we all know about this polio virus, American polio epidemic. Even the President Roosevelt, at 39 years, he was affected by polio. A polio epidemic that started in New York caused 27,000 cases and 6,000 deaths in the United States itself. The disease mainly affects children and sometimes leaves survivors with permanent disabilities. This we can see that we had eradicated it by vaccine now. We had that vaccine now. Now we are again going to a modern era like Spanish flu. We know we are just always talking about the Spanish flu because 100 years back it was coming, it has over, and now it is coming. But before that also there are so many flu viruses, but we had just only recorded one flu virus in 1889, another one in 1918. It estimated about 500 million people. That itself says the magnitude, how much it had devastated the history and changed the course of history. It has been expanded from South Seas to the North Pole, and it has never left anything. Despite the name Spanish flu, it is not like that it was first identified in Spain or it has originated from Spain, because it was a neutral nation during the war. So it has no censorships in press. So it can publish freely. So it has published early accounts on this illness. So as a result, the people believed falsely like illness was specific to Spain and named after it as a Spanish flu shock. So this is, we don't know this origin, or we don't know who is the culprit of this first where it has started. But we name it as a Spanish flu because they had reported first and they has published it because they are neutral. They didn't participate in any war by the time that war was going on. And this Spain has no censorship. So they had published it. So by publishing also, they had got this name. Now we know we are coming to the modern era. In 1957, Asian flu. The Asian flu pandemic, it was like 1 year, 1957 to 1958. The Asian flu pandemic was another global showing for influenza with its roots in China. The disease claimed more than 1 million lives. So China had again gave us another viruses like Asian flu also. The viruses that caused the pandemic was a blended of avian flu. Now we can see there are so many things we are discussing. This is it a bioweapon? Is it a natural thing? And I think the things that which caused the pandemic, is it a bioweapon they had created, or it is a natural thing which is coming? But before that, we had seen so many viruses coming from prehistoric age. But naturally these viruses are capable of evolving. These viruses are like genetic engineers. They can easily modify themselves. Even they had changed the course of history of evolution itself, and they had faced numerous challenges. Like they had given new bacteria, new viruses has been arranged by swapping the genetic forms from other organisms. Even the amoeba, you know that a small protozoan, which everyone knows, I think. This amoeba is acting like a mixing bowl of so many bacteria, so many viruses, and these genes may be swiping out from that do this. So these are truly hijacking small genetic engineers, which are very efficient in transforming their genetic information from one generation to the next generation, and also they are very specific that they are tending to attack. So we are not in battle with people. We are not battling with human race. We are not battling with meteorites or Star Wars. We are just battling. We are in the middle of the battle of viruses, with the viruses. And also we can know that these viruses won't stop. This is not the end of the virus. This is the not a end of any virus. If we stop one virus, the another virus is arising. How they are arising? If we look about the avian flu, Asian flu, we can see the virus that caused the pandemic was a blend of avian flu viruses. How the avian flu virus attacked the human beings? Is it possible, like if a bacteria, if an animal is going towards us, and is it easy to attack us? No, it's not like that. If you see here, if you think it is as a virus, it has only one receptor which can attach avian flu aves, I mean birds, or it can attach to another organisms like a pig or anything. But when this virus has got spill over or jump over, we had two terms like spill over and jump over according to the viruses. These viruses when spill over, when we contacted with we had pets, so many pets, and also we had so many animals in our farms. We had so many contact with the animals, right? So whenever we are doing this, unexpectedly, their saliva or something like that, it will be spill over to the viruses will be spill over to us by contact, by means of breathing, by means of something else like that. But when the virus is affected to our body, we can't say that they will attach to our cells. It's not such an easy thing. It will, like first time, the virus needs a receptor. So it has only one receptor, which is, I think you are visible, right? Which is attached to the avian virus. But it need to develop another receptors like this. Are you visible? Is it visible? Yeah. It needs another receptor also. If there are some viruses which has three receptors or something like this, so they can attach, they can go and attach. It's not so simple. They are going on mutations. They are going through the mutations, which constantly we are getting getting in contact with these viruses. They develop new receptors. Maybe it may be a positive thing, positive mutation or a negative mutation. For virus, if it is a positive mutation, the virus may be easily attached to our receptors. If it is a negative mutation, the virus simply just comes and goes. That's all. It won't affect us anything. So mutations are not that much easy, but for the viruses, they are making them easy for getting to the another generation. The modifications which they had acquired, and also we can see this after this Asian flu. We are discussing about the blending of the avian flu virus into ours. So the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, notes that the disease spreads rapidly and was reported in Singapore in Friday 1957. So now we had all the reports where it has been found, who is the patient, first patient, like that. In Hong Kong in April 1957, the coastal cities of United States in summer of 1957, the total death was about 1.1 million, 11 lakh people worldwide had lost their lives due to this virus, due to this blending of the viruses. Because as you know, when the avian virus has blended into our viruses, just simply it's wiped out all the 11 lakh people without notification, without giving anything alarming like anything. With so these blending of viruses are making the things more severe. So contact with animals, contact with these things, we should be very careful when contacting with the animals. And now we are in pandemic viruses, like AIDS is a pandemic virus which is constantly from 1981 it is going on and on. Up to now there is no vaccine for the AIDS HIV virus. AIDS have climbed an estimate of 35 million lives since it was first discovered, identified. HIV, which is the virus that causes AIDS, likely developed from a chimpanzee, SIV, that transferred to humans in West Africa in 1920s. We don't know from that. We were thinking that it is some type of cancer, a skin cancer or like that something. But after observing keenly, we had came to the observation it is a specific disease. This is also blended species only. Chimpanzees and we came in contact with each other by any means. We don't know, by eating them or by being close to them. The spillover of the viruses came again. And this has now going on and continuing. Up to now, we are facing this HIV virus is causing the disease AIDS. In West Africa, the virus made its way around the world. And AIDS was a pandemic by the late 20th century. By the late 20th century, it was pandemic and going on now also. Now about 64% of the estimated 40 million living, 64% of the estimated 40 million people are living with HIV in sub-Saharan Africa. In Africa itself, there are 64% people living with HIV virus. We don't know when the virus will be coming coming to rescue this. Now another one, in 2009, we had seen again the flu virus. What is that? H1N1, swine flu virus. This is a blended species of swine. What is the swine? It's a pig. Just from pig to, it spilled over to human beings. In 2009, swine flu pandemic was caused by a new strain of H1N1 that originated in Mexico in the spring of 2009 before spreading to the rest of the world. In 1 year, the virus infected as many as 1.4 billion people across the globe and killed between. It has affected so many people, but had killed between 1,57,000 to 5,75,000 people. So according to the CDC, this is based on the CDC only. You can go to the website and you can see what the number has been killed. So whenever the viruses are coming in contact with the human being, they had like two types. One, we can see that the viruses may have been exaggerated symptoms, or they may go mild. Why? Because like that. Why these viruses are becoming mild in some people, and why the viruses are becoming exaggerated in some people? We had some reasons for that also. Whenever the new viruses come to our body, who are the first people to cope with it? Our police system and immunity system comes to rescue us. Like whenever the new species, any foreign particle enters our body, our immune system comes to rescue. Whenever it recognizes it, it's okay, it will take down. But if it takes time to recognize it, if it doesn't recognize it, it is like it becomes a very problem. In zoonotic viruses like in rabies, if you see, we are giving a live vaccine. Why we are giving live vaccine? After biting only we are giving. It's like first we will take a vaccine to eradicate the disease, because we need to educate the immune system of our immune system. We will educate the immune system, and then what happens? The immune system will be okay. I know what is it, and whenever the virus or bacteria it comes again like that type of bacteria or type of viruses comes, it will affect that. But in rabies, if you see, when the dog bites or when we had a disease, we are going again and injecting the virus itself. Why it is like that? What is the useful? Because in rabies, it is also a zoonotic virus. There, our immune system is not recognizing rabies virus. So if it can recognize the rabies virus, it can fight against it. So this is the simple logic behind that, behind the rabies vaccine which we are giving after affecting by the virus. So these viruses has changed the course of history. These viruses has changed the course of science also. They are now helping us also. They in some cancer patients, they are treating with viruses. They will just go and see where the affected part is there, and they will just stick their DNA, whatever it is there, they will remove that, and the cancer is gone. So now this is a new science which the viruses are helping us. So they has two phases also, one helping and one is taking their death toll. But we should be very careful when handling with these viruses, because these viruses not only change the history, of course, of not just a human history, but it has changed the course of life itself. When the bacteria, when the life has begun on 3.5 billion years ago, they were like coiservates. There were no living things, living organisms, just coiservates means which can engulf other things. That is the basic thing of living organisms, which can eat others, which can eat and live. So when this is going on, the viruses like things had came into the came into the picture, and they had swiped the DNA, they had swiped everything, and they had created new things. So this is a history of virus where we can see it has so many phases. The viruses are like, and also there are some theories like when the viruses came, the bacteria and virus have the same origin, primitive origin. The bacteria has been evolving by including so many cell organelles like that. But these viruses have been reducing. What is the basic philosophy of life? To maintain thermodynamics. Like we can see what is that? We can see how efficient you use the energy to live is that determines how you live. So this is the, like we can see in viruses, they are reducing all the cell organelles and becoming so simple that they don't need so much energy. They don't need ATP. So if you don't have ATP, what is the basic currency of life? ATP. So if you don't have money, it's like a money only. If you don't have money, what will you do? We don't have nothing. We have nothing to buy. We have nothing to do. In human civilization, like that only. In what we say in life also, if you don't have ATP, what will we do? We will simply die, because so that only we will think always to drink a glucose or something to get our ATP. But these viruses don't need of ATP, because they are simply thieves. Like they just hijack the host cells ATP and host cells genetic material. There is no evidence of saying it is live, because when we see outside, it is just a dead thing only. When it comes to the host cell only, with it contacts with the host cell only, it is alive thing. So these criteria make viruses very difficult to study also. We don't have even find the causes when it is when we are going to see whether it is a new one, or bacteria came first or a virus came first. And for some instances, if we see, if we take some cloth or something like that, and we see how old they are, some scientists have found a process known as protein, how they binded over the protein. If you see if you take two cloths, two cloths. Yeah. If you see this, a piece of cloth, can you say how it has been mined? No, we are seeing up to now, we have been seeing the genetic code of that, and we are estimating is this, it is so simple. It has no junk DNA, it has not compromised any other DNA, so it may be a new one or it may be a old one. So there is so many difficulties. But when we came across a new theory, like seeing the proteins, how they had been folded. If you see a piece of cloth like this, how it has been folded, when we are unveiling small portions of the cloth, we can know that the viruses proteins are date back long back ago. When we unfolding one protein folds in that, we are coming across so many new things like cyanobacteria, and are also had been evolved from these viruses. And also we think that these viruses don't leave anything, from seaweed to any organism, any living organism, they will affect. They won't stop, they won't sit back, they will just affect without any locomotory things, without anything, they will just spread. Their motive is to spread, that's all for viruses. So now we are going in the history of pandemics, right? In Western Africa, Ebola epidemic, we see in 2014 to 2018, I think 2017, 18, it's going on, I think. Ebola ravaged Western Africa between that 2014 and 2016, 28,600 reported cases and 11,000 deaths only in West Africa. The first case to be reported in Guyana into December 2013. Then the disease quickly spread to Liberia, Sierra Leone. Then it has spread to nearby. The bulk of the cases and deaths occurred in 3 countries, only just in 3 countries. A small number of cases occurred in Nigeria, Mali, and Senegal, and United States and Europe. The CDC has been reported all these things. Just in 3 countries only, it had took about 11,000 deaths in a matter of small time. There is no cure for Ebola. Up to now, we had no cure for so many viruses because they will be mutating so fast. So we can, if we invent now vaccine, again within a few time, it will be gone. Again, a new virus will be coming. There is no cure for Ebola. Although efforts at finding a vaccine are ongoing, the first cases of Ebola occurred in Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976. The virus may have been originated again in bats. Why bats? So bats are so much culprits in these things. So why bats are so much spreading the diseases? Because the bats are highly infectious, because they had so much exposure to the environment, and whenever they are exposed to the environment, the bacteria, they had so much of a strong immune system. These bacteria or virus can't affect the these bats, but they will be in the bats only. And now we are going to the Zika virus. Zika virus, you had been heard of this Zika virus, right? The Zika virus, the impact of the recent Zika virus is only in South America, that too only for infants, and Central America won't be known for several measures. Anaya? Okay. When Zika is usually not harmful in adult to children, it can attack infants who are still in the womb and cause death defects. The type of mosquitoes that carry Zika flourish best in warm, humid climates, making South America, Central America, and parts of the southern United States prime areas for the virus to flourish. Up to now, we had seen these things. Now we are going to COVID, coronavirus 19, because everyone knows about this virus. We had good information about this virus by all the speakers. I think there is no need for me to discuss about this virus, but I will be discussing about viruses, how they had been causing, why the viruses have been so many culprits. Okay, so simply we had up to now tracing the origins of viruses has been very difficult, but they don't leave fossils, and because of the tricks, they used to make copies of themselves within the cells they had invaded. Some viruses even have ability to stitch their own genes into those of the cells they infect, which means studying their ancestry requires untangling it from the history of their host and other organisms. What makes the process even more complicated? The viruses don't infect humans. They can't infect basically any organism from, they can infect any organism from bacteria to horses or seaweeds to people. Still, scientists have been able to piece together some viral histories. It's like this only. When the disease is not there, we can easily say this is a virus, which is very very plain. But we don't know how this virus has been originated when they are being stitched with other liquids. See, now the genes are very clear that this virus has been there in this DNA. And if another virus has been affected, again, we don't know which virus has been came first and how these viruses are stitching it. So this is making the viruses worse to know how they had been came and how they are affecting us. The another virus, the problem is such as the herpes and mono seems to be share same properties within the cells of their own genes. They could suggest that they started as the big bits of cellular DNA and then become independent, or that these viruses came along very early in evolution and some of the DNA stuck in around cells genomes. The fact that the viruses that infect humans share structural features with viruses that infect bacteria could mean that all the viruses have common origin. So the viruses which are affecting human beings also share the viruses affecting bacteria. So all these things have the same origin. We can say the viruses which affect the bacteria are also affecting the human beings. So this is the simple thing we can know. Now we are going to see how this microbial family has been pioneering into now pandemics. If we see, viruses did not evolve first, they have been found instead. Viruses and bacteria has both descended from a ancient cellular form. But while humans and bacteria had evolved to become more complex, and the virus has become more simpler because due to the energy problem. Today viruses are so simple, so small and simple, they can't even replicate on their own. Viruses carry only the essential genetic information they need to be able to slip inside a host cell and coax it into making a new copies of the virus. The influenza virus, for instance, has a mere 14 protein coding genes. It has only 14 protein coding genes. Because viruses are usually so basic, many biologists didn't think they couldn't even be classified as a life forms. We had seen why they are not in life forms. But just over a decade ago, our view of viruses began to shift. French scientists who were examining a mystery microbe that looked like a bacterium but was genetically quite different to bacteria realized that they discovered a gained virus. They named this bacteria look alike the mimicking microbe virus. They had named a bacteria like virus because it looked like a virus. And the virus wasn't only physically large. They showed that it carried more than 1,000 genes. A huge genome for a virus, just a few hundred genes smaller than some bacteria. Several great viruses have been discovered since the Pandora virus, packing around 1,100 genes. So it's like a opening of Pandora box. You know about Pandora box, no? This was a long story. When the box opened, there has been two. One was good and one was evil. The first evil came out, and then she cried because of her gift, and she just closed in a hashtag. Cyanobacteria or blue-green algae or predate viruses are one of the oldest forms in the life. We can see, if you see, we are only not affected by pandemics. Several bacteria, several things have also been affected by pandemics. Like when the cyanobacteria has released oxygen into the environment in 2.1 billion years ago, so many bacterial forms, so many life forms ceased away. 90% of the life forms ceased away, just ceased away, because the oxygen was a poison then. Now it is a oxygen is a life so supporting air, but when it started, the oxygen was poison to the so many bacteria and so many life forms. So this is also cyanobacteria is also a doubtful thing, like it's a blue green alga which predates the virus, oldest life forms. So that was a big pandemic by then. I mean, not a pandemic because it doesn't affected that, but the constituents which they had left out has affected the viruses. The genetic complexity of the monster microbes reawakened the interest in long-standing question about viruses. When did the first evolve? Were the viruses an evolutionary stepping stone or more complex cellular life, or did they spring up later? The question is very thorny, but being made a few short strands of DNA or RNA wrapped in a soft protein shell. Viruses don't fossilize, and without fossil record to study, it has been almost impossible to untangle their lineage. Without fossils, we can't say. Without evidence, we can't say. So if we try to unpick the question of virus evolution, there will be so many questions coming out in that reconstruction of the microbial tree. So if we retrace back all these things into a tree, phylogenetic tree, a new way to reconstruct the microbial tree is going on by unraveling the proteins, and also by comparing genes between the species. The more the genes two organisms come in common, the more closely they are related. So we are more closely related to chimpanzees and gorillas because we had more genes to them, orangutan also. Our primate family, we had so many things related to them. But this technique only lets us to rewind a million of evolution steps ago, million of years ago, and any further, and the DNA was mutated so much it's impossible to see the similarities between the species. So this is a 100 billion question, because like chicken came first or egg came first. We don't have yet answers, because some may say chicken came first and some may say egg came first. They had their logic like that only. Living organisms came first or viruses came first. It's an question only. Now it's going on question, because some are thinking like seeing the proteins whichever they had a common descendant. And these viruses are becoming simpler. Some were saying that simple organisms are becoming complex things. So we can fix the algorithms of them. We can make the algorithms of them and make the phylogenetic tree. The researchers have developed algorithms to compare the protein shapes of 3,466 viruses and 1,620 cells. They found that 442 protein folds were shared between the cells and viruses, but 66 folds were unique to viruses. Only 66 folds were unique to the viruses. To make sense of this data, the scientists have arranged the protein folds in a tree that give a new branch. Like if you see in zoology or something, we had the sponges which are blind offshoots like that. They may be in the microbial tree. These viruses may be the blind offshoot like that. For example, one particular protein fold was first seen in cyanobacteria and later appeared in all its descendants. If this fold appeared first in cyanobacteria, so we can think that cyanobacteria first appeared and then viruses had came. We don't know clearly, or else the viruses had first evolved and then the cyanobacteria has evolved. The discovery of Mimi virus, we had seen about the Mimi virus, reignited the interest in the origin of virus. The viruses looks like bacteria and is much larger and complex than most viruses. Than the most viruses, because it is complex, because only the viruses had only a small pack of DNA or a small pack of genome. It may be DNA or RNA. In some cases, it may be a protein also. In some, we can see prions are there. They are just a protein coat without a nuclear material. Either DNA, doesn't have a DNA or an RNA. So we can see we can take that proteins also. So the viruses has evolved so much that it can spread to genome, or they can spread to this protein code also. We don't know if we throw a ball of mass of doll on anyone, it won't cause any disease. But we see the prions, they had only just mad cow disease in cow and scrappy disease in sheep, like that. They will cause the diseases without any genetic material. The scientists have unraveled the thing, like how they are causing these diseases in prions. But it is a mind-boggling question how they had evolved so many ways to affect the organisms. There is only one way, that is they just want to affect the organisms, because they won't survive by their own. They can't do anything. They are like just pets for us. If you see, the pets will be just roaming us, they can't go and hunt. Like that only, they will just be waiting for us. Whenever life, whenever the life form comes in contact with the viruses, they will just swipe into their system, like that. So we can see that these viruses are so good at transferring this genetic material from one generation to other generation through means of protein also. So a fully functioning self-replicating cell that lived around 3.4 billion years ago, shortly after first life emerged on the planet. From this cell, bacteria have evolved in the direction of increasing complexity, while the viruses gradually shed genes they found they didn't need until they could no longer even reproduce by their own. So they had become more simple. They can't reproduce by their own. So we can't say it is a life form, but they use as the host cell, and they can reproduce. A key step in the virus evolutionary journey seems to have come around about 1.5 billion years ago. That's the age at which the team estimated 66 virus-specific protein folds came onto the scene. So there are so many scenarios. Like 1.5 billion years ago, they had traced back, they had constructed a tree, including a microbial tree, dating back about 1.5 billion years ago, saying that then the viruses had been arised. But we don't know up to now clearly that it is correct, because there are no evidences. We just unraveling the protein sheets, we are discovering that it is 1.5 billion years ago, estimated 66 virus specific type protein folds. It has only 66 protein type folds. The study is how many proteins today bacteria and virus have in common. So by seeing how many they are common, the virus and proteins, which are very common in both the things. In bacteria, what are the proteins common? In viruses, what are the proteins common? Life on Earth would look very different without the viral co-inhabitants. We won't be even existed without without the viruses. We wouldn't be here without them, because they only shaped us. They only shaped the biological evolution a billion years ago. Hello, Sunita. Okay. Thank you for being with me, and also I'm especially thanks to your college and also the host college, and thank you for everyone. If anyone wants to interact with me, you can. I will be here only. Okay, thank you.
Hope you all walked through the pandemic's history along with the walking encyclopedia that is Dr. Swati. Thank you, Dr. Swati, for imparting ocean of knowledge on the history of pandemics and viruses. Thank you very much. If any queries are there, please post in the chat box. Madam will answer them later. Now let's all have a short break for 5 minutes.
Let me congratulate the presenter very profusely.
Okay.
Dr. Swati, your presentation is very lucid, and it has covered a vast area of virology, including the history of virus, their origin, etc. So many messages we have received appreciating you on your vast knowledge. From my side, from the college side, I profusely thank you for being with us on this webinar. Once again, we congratulate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. for your comment. Now let's all have a short break for 5 minutes.
So no queries from the participant side. Participants can raise questions. You can get your queries clarified, doubts clarified. Kindly raise your hands. Those who wish to ask questions, kindly raise your hands. Okay, ma'am, could you hear me?
Yes.
Here we have got a question from Vishnupriya Malshetty. She asked that, Madam, is it possible to discover vaccine for corona virus as the virus genetic structure is continuously changing? It is her question first to you.
Actually, if you see rationally, there are no vaccines for so many viruses up to now, but there is a hope for virus because we had only 2 or 3 strains sustained up to now. So we can easily find the vaccine, but it may take so much of time because up to now in HIV virus, we don't have a vaccine. For Ebola virus, we don't have a vaccine. But the thing is, up to we had good weapons like vaccines or anything, we are not sure. We don't know. We had to go on a big.
Hello. Vishnupriya, was your doubt clear? You got the answer required? Okay.
I mean, we are doing the work for research. I mean, the scientists are doing the work for research, but we are not sure because the strains may be mutated, but it may help to see the receptors which were entangled to them, and we are hopeful persons. We are human beings.
Yes, Stephen Roy Pilli, you can ask a question. Hello?
Hello?
As Stephen Roy Pilli, you can pose your question. Hello? Mr. Stephen Roy.
Hello?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I'm an officer from the Department of Fisheries. The way the presentation was done, the origin, etc., it's so very wonderful. It is as explanatory as the virus itself. All the mutations, all the history is brought in a very focused manner. But my question is this. Is it possible that in spite of all our expertise scientifically, is it possible for some, see the mutations are so very quick and it's so agile. So is it possible for human intervention, a long-term basis? A final solution, is it possible? Some means, just like broad spectra antibiotic like that. It's a virus, I know it's not a bacteria. Can we expect some broad spectra answer? Thank you.
Actually, it's a non-living. Yes, sir. You said like that only. Antibiotics only kill biotic thing. And also, if you see the viruses, we can expect because before the flu viruses were there, now we had flu shots. Every year, there is a one thing also like flu shots. We need to annually inject that so that we can not get the flu infections. Flu shots are there. Flu vaccines are there. This is also just a small virus which is in a vast family of corona. Maybe we can get a flu shot for this also. We could expect a vaccine coming up.
Oh, vaccine is the only solution, right?
Yes, sir, because it is an dead thing when it is outside, and when it comes into the form only, it may be the living thing. I mean, like it reproduces. Maybe we can find the receptor things, and just it's a vaccine only. And also, we can attack it. I mean, I don't know. It is my own view. Like whenever the viruses attacks, it just injects into the DNA or genome, its genome into our genome. When it is injecting, we can also by CRISPR or something, we can cut off that DNA. That it may take a very heavy amount for doing such a technology, by using CRISPR genes like that. We can cut off the viral DNA. It's like a chain of DNA which can attach to the DNA. When it is attached to our DNA, we can easily find it and cut out. But it is very expensive, and we can also now only the CRISPR technology. I think you have you know about it, sir. But now only it is
Yeah.
booming up, CRISPR technology. We can use that technology also.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
no other way.
Yes.
Oh, entering into the body, precautions, it's okay. Before entering into the body, it is vaccination, that's okay. But on the ground, on the soil, can we create some kind of a chemical that nullifies all these effects that are existing now? With this, my question is over.
From the existing now, the viruses, we can't even identify them because they are just a protein coat only. We can't eliminate all the protein coat. If it is on surface, we can clean them out. But when it is on a large scale, we can't eliminate them.
Okay.
I think, did I get your question, sir?
Yeah, I got your point. It is impossible task. You know, after affecting itself, we are taking so long, it has become so
I think
so
CRISPR
huge.
technology may come after some years or like that.
After some years. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
so much,
input.
Dr. Stephen Rai. Thank you so much. Next
Yeah.
is the turn of Lumini Darapu. Mrs. Lumini Darapu, you can go ahead. You can ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm audible for you?
Nice. Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, ma'am, I have two questions for you. First
Okay.
question is, can you catch this novel coronavirus twice? What is happening? Can you catch this novel coronavirus twice?
Twice is like if you get one strain, it's okay. If again we are exposed to another strain, we can catch another time also. If the strain is different, we can get. If the same strain is there, we get immunity for that. We cannot get twice same strain. If other strain, there are so many strains. No, now up to now 3 strains or so much. It's going on coronavirus. If we get another strain, we will be affected.
Ma'am, another question is there any method to maintain or to count the viability of virus outside the cell?
We can't count because it's a non-living thing. We can't count. It's a simple creature which is threatening us, which we are not able to find how we can eliminate that. It's a simple with small genes, and it is packed with a big weapon like that. Yeah.
But there is a criteria that they are saying that it can live to a copper for 4 hours. So,
Yeah.
now, ma'am, during that time, can we do it?
Yeah, it can be. It is according to the virus. It can be up to 1 day also. It can be in outside. In some instances, a frozen viruses also can be again reinstalled after many years. After a million years, also we can restore the viruses also after when in frozen mode also.
Thank you, ma'am. A very
Yeah.
educated session. Thank you very much for sharing your
Thank you.
information.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, okay.
మొఖం తీరా మీ ఫోన్
Srinivas garu, you have been unmuted. చూడండి ఒకసారి. ఓకే, శ్రీనివాస్ గారు. హలో శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, చేసారా? మ్యూట్ అని వస్తుంది. శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, హలో 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 చూడండి, అన్మ్యూట్ చేశాను చూడండి. అన్మ్యూట్ చేసే ఉన్నారు మీరు. ఇప్పుడు చేశాను చూడండి. ఓకే ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు చేయండి. చేయండి, మీరు చేయండి, ప్రజెంట్ చేయండి, వస్తుంది. హలో హలో, ఏంటి ప్రాబ్లం? శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, హలో సునీత మేడం. సార్ ఏదో ప్రాబ్లం అన్నట్టుంది. ఓకే, shall we give a 5-minute break?
Yes, sir.
Or shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir. Sir, we will take 5 minutes break. Sir.
Okay, okay.
Meanwhile, sir will get ready, sir.
Dear participants, you can have a 5-minute. No. Just you can assemble after 5 minutes. Thank you very much, ma'am. Dr. Swati.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let us assemble exactly after 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. The problem.
సార్ రెడీగా ఉన్నారా సార్? మీది అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకుంటే అవ్వట్లేదా సార్? మేబీ సిస్టమ్ చూస్తాను అంటే సార్ సబ్మిట్ చేయాలి సార్ అదే చూస్తున్నాను సార్. అంటే మీ పేరు దేంతో ఎంటర్ అయ్యారో నాకు తెలియలేదు సార్, అందుకని చూస్తున్నాను సార్. మీరు వీడియో ఆన్లో ఉందా సార్? సార్ 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 రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్ ఇస్ రెడీ సార్. రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్ ఇస్ రెడీ సార్. ఎస్ సార్, ఆమె ఫస్ట్ నుంచే ఉన్నారంట సార్. ఎస్ సార్. నేమ్ సార్, యూ నీడ్ ద నేమ్ సార్. దిల్సా సార్. ఓకే సార్. సార్ మరి శ్రీనివాస్ సార్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారు. ఎస్ సార్. సార్ ఓకే సార్. ఓకే మేడం.
Esteemed participants, some questions are here. You can pose your questions after the end of the 4th session also. We will give you half an hour to half an hour time. Those who wish to ask queries can ask all the 4 research persons. Okay, they will be available. You can ask questions. Srinivas garu.
Sir.
Okay, sir. Now you're audible. Now you're audible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, we can see you, sir, now.
Okay, sir.
You can introduce the next resource person.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Dear participants, these webinar sessions are being live streamed through Facebook as well as YouTube also. You can also watch these live sessions in YouTube. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Madam, Sunita, madam.
What? Hello? Hello? Okay, sir.
Ma'am, చెప్పండి.
Madam, start చేయొచ్చా సునీత గారు? Hello.
Sunita madam, could we start the next session?
Sir, okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, madam. I will start.
Sir, shall I invite Srinivas, sir?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
I am ready. Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Srinivas Rao, lecturer in commerce of the host college. It is a privilege to me to introduce Dr. Jilpa Sheikh, MD Dermatology. Doctor have 4 years of clinical experience in medical, healthcare, and life science industries. She has very good knowledge of multiple therapeutic areas. She worked with multidisciplinary clinics. She is a medical writer, ensuring high quality medical review and editing. I request Dr. Jilpa Sheikh to deliver her lecture in this webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Very good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. One second. Okay, is my screen? Okay, is my screen?
Yeah, we could see your screen.
Okay, yes. So let me start by welcoming everyone to this webinar on coronavirus. And we'll begin by introducing coronavirus, COVID-19. So coronavirus comes from a very large family. And the viruses cause different illness ranging from common cold to very severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which is MERS, and severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. So COVID-19 virus is transmitted during close contact through respiratory droplets such as coughing and by fomites. And these diseases, they, like I said before, it is MERS-CoV and SARS-CoV. So Middle East Respiratory Syndrome actually originated from the camel, and SARS-CoV was from civet cats. So let us talk about the modes of transmission. So the modes of transmission are person to person, household transmission, and from contact with infected surfaces or objects. So person to person, which you can see in the next slide, if a person is sick, he sneezes or coughs, and we use our hands, which is a completely wrong way to, protect yourself. You use your hands and you get those infected droplets. They are there on your hands, and then sometimes they're not visible, sometimes they are. You go and wash your hands. When you don't wash your hands, we usually come in contact with the person. We shake our hands, or we might touch our own face, and that is how the virus is usually transferred. Then through household transmission, there are few people who are usually not asymptomatic, so the symptoms come in later. So if you're not showing any symptoms, and you're roaming around in your house, and you have old people and people who are weak, who have underlying health conditions, so they could get infected due to you, and you could also infect your pets. And objects, it is not very clear. There are definitely studies, there are researches going on, that you touch an object and how long does the virus stay on an object. There are several factors which come in play, that how long does a virus stay on an infected object. So it depends on the temperature, it depends on the humidity, it depends on so many factors that it's not necessary like you touch it and the virus is going to stay there for a very long time. This study is an ongoing study, so maybe in the future we'll know exactly how long does it take. But the most important mode of transmission is person to person. So now let us talk about the clinical features. So according to the Center of Disease Control, or CDC, patients above the age of 50 are more vulnerable or for the attack, and persons with underlying diseases like diabetes, Parkinson's, or someone who has had an open heart surgery, they are at a higher risk of catching the virus. So as per the World Health Organization, the WHO statistics, the average age, the mean age of people being infected is 51. So, but there have been cases reported, like in the news, they keep showing that a newborn baby has tested positive, and young kids, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, a lot of pediatric cases. But majority, the major population that had been affected and is being affected currently are from the age of 30 to 69 years. And the mortality rate is also very high. Like you might have heard about China and Italy, the mortality rate was, because there are more, the higher the old age population is higher over there. Like people live for a longer period of time, and their immunity is also weak. So it is mostly from people from the age of say 70 to 85. So there were a lot of deaths in those countries. And a lot of statistical data reveals that 51.1% of the affected population were males. So let us talk about the clinical features. Decreased white blood cells, and coughing and sneezing, runny nose, shortness of breath, breathing difficulties, sore throat, fever, fatigue, pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, the inflammation in the lungs, then congestion, cardiovascular damage, diarrhea, disease, kidney functions, and kidney failure. So like the new symptoms, the new features that have been added are loss of smell, loss of taste. These are like the new features that have been added. And like I've said before, it is not like 100% like accurate that if you only have the symptoms, you are going to be positive. You could be asymptomatic and be a carrier. So that is why we are in this lockdown right now, that we keep ourselves safe and we keep others safe. So let us talk about the diagnostic approaches. So there's been a lot of speculation that we are not doing enough testing. Why are we not doing enough testing? And how come there are so many people who are positive and they don't know about it, and the reports have been false negative. So let's just talk about that. So the type of COVID-19 tests. So like everyone knows, if anyone is sick, generally sick, or has any flu, fever, or they feel weak, we usually go and get a blood test done to see like what is wrong with us. Is there any abnormality in the blood, anything that in the common blood profile is what we usually go to. So the first one is test for antibodies. So antibodies are very similar to any kind of blood test. The phlebotomist usually will draw blood, and it will be sent to the lab. And this test has not been very accurate in detecting the COVID-19. So the next test that we are going to talk about is RT-PCR and NAT. So both RT-PCR and NAT have been approved by Food Drug Administration, that is the FDA. And in India, we are using RT-PCR, which is reverse transcription polymerase chain test. So what happens with this test is there's a nasal and a throat swab which is taken and it is sent to a lab. So RT-PCR is an expensive test because the person who takes your test has to be fully covered. He has to shield himself with the PPE and personal protective equipment. And usually what happens is this test, you cannot get the blood reports, the report immediately, like any other blood tests which are given in a couple of hours. So RT-PCR there is a little waiting period compared to an antibody test, but it is a bit more reliable. And there is a scarcity of testing kits. But anyone who feels is having symptoms or any of these clinical features, one or all of them or a few of them, you are supposed to get yourself tested. So wherever you are, if you feel you have any symptoms, you should go and get yourself tested. So I'll just antibody tests are similar to a blood test, and antibodies are nothing but proteins, so which are produced by a human body, and they are used by the immune system to identify and neutralize foreign objects such as bacteria and viruses, but it is not a reliable test for COVID-19. And antibodies, definitely they cost less. So just because it costs less, it does not mean that you have to opt for that one. The government is doing RT-PCR tests for free in government hospitals. If you want to get tested in a private hospital, I think you will have to pay an amount, maybe a couple of thousands for that. So if you have a current infection, you have to get yourself screened for the virus. But not everyone needs the test. Only if you have symptoms, and you should get this test done. But as soon as you feel you have any symptoms, you should start self-quarantining. Okay, so now let us talk about preventive measures. The best way to fight COVID-19, to fight this virus, is to follow good hygiene practice, follow all the preventive measures, because this is what everyone can do. You don't have to have special commodities or anything. You don't have to buy anything to practice these measures. So the first one is wash your hands with soap or an alcohol-based hand rub. Suppose you don't have an alcohol-based hand rub, you can use a medicated hand wash. And whenever you step out of the house, you go out to buy something which has to be absolutely essential, then you should come back, wash your hands, change your clothes. And if you have older people living with you in the house, you should definitely be a bit more careful than you are living with healthy younger generation. So Next is keeping a hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizers don't have to be big bottles, just small carry-ons you can always carry with you. And all offices and public workplaces. Of course, now we are all in lockdown, so I'm sure that once we resume our regular work, we go out, we'll be at our workplaces. It will not be the same. We will all have, after we might use some public transport or drive ourselves to work, we will definitely be exposed to, the virus, because it doesn't seem like the virus is completely going to leave us. It is going to stay with us for quite some time till there is a vaccine discovered. So when we go to our workplaces, you should wash your hands with soap. And in case it is not available, go and ask the authority to, because it is our right that we remain safe, and not only in our house, but outside also. Then follow the culture of namaste and maintain 2 arms length or 6 feet optimally, but at least an arm's length or 3 feet from a person who is sneezing or coughing. So we go out to the store to buy something and there's a huge crowd. You should definitely avoid that. Most of the places now have already made these circular markations on the road, so that there is a certain distance maintained from one person to another. And most of the countries, everywhere else, everyone forms a queue everywhere. I think it's high time we also start practicing some kind of strictness in how we go to a store, and we shouldn't crowd at the counter. It's better we stand in a queue, maintain safe distance from each other. And next is respiratory hygiene and cough etiquette. So you have to cough or sneeze inside of your elbow or arms. This is very, very important. Anyone can have common cold, have a flu-like symptoms, or just a regular allergy. So usually we use our hands when we sneeze. We just use our hands to cover our nose and mouth. Instead of doing that, we could use our elbow and cough or sneeze inside the elbow. And you could carry a disposable tissue. If you carry a disposable tissue, you should not use the tissue and keep it at a public place, or just leave it on the table, or leave it somewhere on the bed. That is just going to make matters worse. So if you're using a disposable tissue, you should discard it safely. You should put it in a dustbin. And you have to perform a good personal hand hygiene. Okay, and offer a surgical mask to a person who is coughing or sneezing. So now talking about surgical mask, there's been a lot of discussion about how should I wear my mask, and how often should I wear it? Should I wear it at home? So you only have to wear a mask if you are ill with COVID-19 symptoms, especially like if you're coughing or you have a runny nose, you feel like you're going to fall sick. So you should wear a mask. Then, or if you are looking after somebody, you have to use a mask. You can use a disposable face mask and use it only once. If you wear a mask, you shouldn't repeat it again and again, and do not pass it on to someone else. You should never share a mask. And if you are not ill, and if you are looking after someone, if you are not ill, you're looking after someone who is also not ill, there's no need to wear a mask. And because there is a worldwide shortage of masks, so everyone should urge any other person who feels like they are wasting a mask or not using it the right way, you should use the mask wisely. And rational use of medical masks to avoid unnecessary wastage of precious resources and misuse of masks. So the most effective way to protect yourself and others against COVID-19 is to frequently clean your hands, cover your cough with a band, or use a tissue and maintain the distance. And you have to offer a surgical mask to a person who's coughing or sneezing. Like I said before, you should if you see someone who cannot afford a mask, or who is already has left the house, and you see that person coughing or sneezing, if you have an extra one, make sure you just offer the person the mask. You need not know the person, but of course, we all, if you protect someone else, you are protecting yourself. So you can always offer a mask to someone who you feel is sick. And the workplaces, yes, you might keep your house clean, you might keep the children, the older people, you're taking all the precautions. But if you leave the house, you go to work, and the workplace is unhygienic, and you are scared that you might get infected, or you might feel like another co-worker is having symptoms, you should definitely bring it up, go to your higher authority, or who your boss or whoever it is, and tell them that this person is symptomatic, or talk to the person before you go and tell them that it's okay, you can take a break and go home, rest, get better, and come back. If the symptoms are really strong, you should advise the person to get oneself tested. And avoid eating raw or undercooked meat. This is a very important topic, because there's a lot of wrong information saying that you eat meat and you are going to catch the virus. If you have chicken, you have mutton and egg, you are going to catch the virus. But if you cook it really well, you're cooking at a very high mode, you're cooking it around 100 degrees Celsius and more. So definitely whatever virus or whatever bacteria is there is definitely going to die. But if you are using utensils, and when the meat is raw, you make sure that you do disinfect, wash them properly and dry them, and have a set of rules for your kitchen. Like when you buy groceries, everything, make sure you discard the packet that you get it in, and wash your hands when you go to the market and come back. And if you are unwell, definitely you should always make sure, if you feel any symptoms from any of these features, you should definitely see your doctor. Okay, now let us talk about the do's and don'ts. Okay, so you should wash your hands often and regularly, and practice respiratory etiquette, which I spoke of in the last slide. And you have to wear a mask to cover your nose and mouth, and practice social distancing. A lot of discussion is there about social distancing, like why are we doing it? It's been so long, we're still in lockdown. To be very honest, this is like the only method that we can overcome this. There are so many countries. We have our own states. We have Goa, which successfully has 0 cases, and social distancing is the key. And we should all continue to maintain social distancing till the lockdown is lifted. And if anyone is sick, you should inform the authority. There's a national helpline. You should use the government website. It has all the toll-free numbers you can call, and they will send an ambulance to you, and you will be treated. So follow the instructions from your doctor or from your local health authority, or your national helpline when seeking medical care. You should stay updated with the latest information on COVID-19. Okay, so being updated with the latest information on COVID-19 does not mean your WhatsApp updates, your Facebook updates, and other social platforms, because there's a lot of wrong information that is circulating that, which will cause some kind of panic. So you should not believe everything that you read. Go to, websites like the World Health Organization, the Center of Disease Control, or you could go to our Ministry of Health. India has Ministry of Health. The government website is live. You have all the statistics there. You have everything in every single language that is spoken in our country. And the government is doing a good job. So you should depend on those foolproof websites, because there are so many people working hard to put those statistics, to put that information on the website, so you don't get misled and there is no panic and people are not scared. So yeah, you should depend on those websites and stay updated. Then if you have traveled anywhere, like you have traveled from a different country, of course now there is no you cannot travel anywhere because of the travel restrictions, but if you had traveled, or you know someone who has traveled, or crossed the border and come in, you should definitely advise them to self quarantine for at least 14 days. Like as we know, the incubation period is from it could be from 1 to 14 days. So there is an estimate of 2 weeks. So that is why we advise self quarantining for 14 days, so that if you have any symptoms, you are not going to expose yourself to the healthy people around you, and you will not infect the older generation, the older sick people or the sick family members. You will not infect them because already I'm sure their immunity must be compromised. So if you have traveled or gone somewhere where you feel like the other person might be sick and you come home, you should definitely practice self-quarantining. And if there is a travel history, you should definitely quarantine yourself for 14 days at least. Now the don'ts. So don't touch your face, eyes, nose, or mouth without washing your hands. So on an average, a normal healthy adult touches the face 3 to 5 times per minute. This is an average number. So throughout the day, you are touching your face like around 1,000 times or more. So if you are carrying some kind of virus, like you have coughed and sneezed and now your hands are infected and you are touching your mouth again and again, you're touching your eyes, you're touching your face, you're definitely going to contract something. Don't hug, kiss, or shake hands with anyone who is ill or has a cough, cold, or fever. Don't come in close contact with anyone if you are unwell or have a cough, cold, or fever. So you shouldn't expose yourself to anyone. If you feel you are falling sick, you will have some symptoms, your eyes will get teary, you'll cough, you'll have little congestion. So that is the best time you isolate yourself just for a couple of days. See if you're getting better. If you feel your symptoms are worsening, you should quarantine and call the healthline. And don't spit in public. I think spitting is a very common practice, especially people who are chewing tobacco and all the other unhealthy things people chew. So you should not spit, whether it is your phlegm that you're spitting out or your tobacco or pan or whatever it is. So you shouldn't spit. And don't leave your home unless it is absolutely necessary. This is usually because we are in lockdown and it's been more than a month, everyone is going to get restless. Everyone is tired. Most of the people miss and have forgotten how it feels to be outside those four walls. You can always go on your terrace. You can walk at home. You can practice yoga. There's so many other things, but don't leave home unless it is absolutely necessary. And from a family, only one member should go out. The healthiest one is always preferred. You go out, get your necessary, the most essential stuff, and come back home and do the necessary precautions. And don't hold events where people have to gather. This is very important. So many people had to cancel occasions, marriages and parties and so many other things. So you should not, immediately, even after the lockdown, it is very essential that if you are gathering for something, there is a specific number that is given by the government. Like you should not violate those rules, because if you fall sick, you are calling for a gathering and you're going to infect everyone over there. So don't go to crowded places, and public transport is definitely very, very important. If you use a public transport, this is after the lockdown, make sure you come home, you have a bath if possible, or wash your hands with alcohol rub or a good medicated soap, and make sure you sanitize and then carry on with your regular things. So this is do the 5. You only way you can help stop coronavirus, and this everyone can do it. You don't have to be eligible for this. Everyone can do it. You wash your hands, you cough in your elbow, don't touch your face at all. If you are out, then keep safe distance. We are already maintaining social distancing, and then if you feel sick, you should stay at home. And so this is the last note I want to leave with is like, if we stay, this is all the sanitation workers, all our frontliners, all the scientists, all the doctors, everyone who's working, they all want to say that if you stay at work, that is because you are staying at home. So we are staying at work and we are working for you. So you should stay at home, stay healthy, and definitely we can get this in control. So yeah, thank you. So any questions?
Yeah, ma'am. Could you please clarify some of the doubts relating to mental and psychological and physical health during this lockdown period, ma'am?
Sorry, 1 second, 1 minute.
Yeah. Some participants are asking questions pertaining to the maintenance of physical and psychological health during this lockdown period.
Okay.
Could you
about the psychological health, I think Dr. Hema Bindu is going to talk on that topic.
Okay, thank you.
But 1 second.
Participants, you can ask queries.
Yes, please.
Participants.
Any questions?
You can raise your hand so that I can unmute you to interact with Dr. Jilpa. Hello? Yes, Dr. Shavani Raghumanda. Dr. Nirajaya?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Jilpa ma'am, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Should we take more amount of vitamin C as a part of the increment of immunity, ma'am?
Vitamin C is always advised. You take vitamin C, you will have good skin, and vitamin C is definitely an immune booster. So you could definitely take vitamin C every day. You get it in your fruits. All the citrus fruits have vitamin C. You can consume them, but it is not the solution
for the complete cure.
Yes, it is not a solution. It is just something that you can do to increase your immunity.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Vitakala Venkata Barao. Hello?
Sir.
Sir, you can interact with the research.
No, sir. No.
Next, hello, Dr. M. Rama.
Sir. Good
Okay.
afternoon,
So
sir.
go ahead with your question.
Sir, good afternoon. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good. Okay, you can interview Dr. Jilpa. She is available.
I would like to ask one question, sir. Madam, Dr. Jilpa, madam, I would like to ask one question. So whenever we wash our hands thoroughly with soap water, if coronavirus is present on our hands, it will go out. Whether it's go out or washed out or whether it is dead. If it is not dead, suppose when we wash our hands in open place, whenever we go to the banks and post office, etc., they are giving some soap water for washing. and we are washing there, if the coronavirus is not dead water, it is washed away from our hands. It is alive on the land. So if so, after dry, it may come along with our feet to our houses. Is it correct? I would like to ask this question, madam.
Okay. So I'll begin with when you wash your hands, you're just preventing yourself. You're washing every time you go out of the house, you come back, you wash your hands, you're trying to disinfect your hands. So it may not always be necessary that you got the virus on your hands. So, and even when you're washing your hands, you usually should avoid washing with plain water. You either use a alcohol-based hand rub, or you use a medicated hand wash. So, washing with plain water is not advised. And your question was wash your hands. You think that the virus is going to come onto the soil and then eventually come onto the feet. So the sustainability of the virus, you wash it and you're thinking it's virus is not something that is going to the survival rate is still a big question mark, and the scientists and there's so many people working hard to determine like how long does it survive on the surface. So then again, going back to the preventive measures, that is why everyone has to practice the habit. Like you go out and come in, you should not carry your footwear, what you wear outside, leave it out. You leave it out and definitely wash your hands again. Follow proper hand hygiene, and you will be safe.
తీసే బన్ను బెడ్ ఎక్కుదురు గాని
I hope I cleared your doubt.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon. Madam, can you hear me?
Yes.
Madam, how can we find out the asymptomatic carriers, ma'am? Is it easy to find out?
No.
Already we saw one case at Srikakulam. He is an asymptomatic carrier.
Yes.
What about them, ma'am?
Asymptomatic carriers, the term asymptomatic means you do not have any symptoms.
Exactly.
So you don't have any symptoms, but there are people who you are in contact with, say your grandpa, your grandma, and and then there are your pets, and there are so many, maybe there might be some patients recovering from other illnesses. And if the other person is vulnerable, you are definitely going to infect the person. Asymptomatic, but you are a carrier, so you could definitely infect the other person. And how to find out that you are asymptomatic? Probably you have violated some of the rules which you have supposed to follow. So probably the person might have gone out somewhere or in contact with someone who was positive. So if you feel you have done any of those things, you should practice self-quarantine. Self-quarantine for 14 days, and the symptoms will definitely emerge in, you will be symptomatic in those 1 to the 14th day, and you could get yourself tested. So even if you have small symptoms, coughing, cold, runny nose, allergy, you should definitely isolate yourself from the other family members. That's it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the element.
Dr. Chandramouli, please.
Sir.
You can interact with the research person.
What is the effect of meditation on COVID-19, sir? Madam?
Please respond.
What is the effect of meditation on COVID-19?
Okay, that will be known in the next session, sir.
I think this will be taken up in the next session. Dr. Himabindu will discuss about the mental health and its impact on COVID-19.
Okay, now we will conclude this session. So thank you, Dr. Zilfa Sheikh, ma'am. Though busy with her schedule, she has taken time to impart her knowledge with us. The information and ideas she imparted will be of immense use in the COVID crisis period. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Now it's time for the last session of this event. Here, I invite Dr. T. Srivaram, lecturer in chemistry, to introduce the resource person for this last session.
Thank you, Madam Sunita Garu.
Before that, sorry for the interruption, ma'am. Dear participants, most of you are having some questions. And at the end of this webinar, all the 4 research persons will interact with you, okay? Some of the questions are still left. I know you are very much eager with your questions, but kindly stay tuned. After the end of this webinar, we will allocate 20 to 25 minutes for getting your doubts cleared. All the 4 research persons would be available for interacting with you. Kindly put up with us. Thank you. Now I request the next organizing person to introduce the next research person. Thank you.
Over to Srivaram, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you very much. This is Dr. Srivaram, lecturer in chemistry, Government Degree College, Ravulapalem'S. I take this privilege of introducing Dr. P. Himabindu, Madam. She is currently the coordinator for IQAC Nizam College, which is a constituent college of Osmania University, Hyderabad. And she has a teaching experience of 15 years at both the postgraduate and graduate levels. She holds a master's and PhD degree in physics and also master's in psychology from Kakatiya University, Warangal. She has a collaboration with CCMB, HCU, University of Malaya, University of South Florida, and University of Surrey, United Kingdom, on her research activities. She has been a postdoctoral researcher at University of Surrey, United Kingdom. She has organized several seminars and one international conference. She held administrative position of coordinator for Swayam program of University Grants Commission and also convener for Women Empowerment Cell, Nizam College. She has also held the post of head of the department at Nizam College from July 2016 to July 2018. She has visited and presented her research findings in the United States of America, Malaysia, and United Kingdom as a part of her career development. She is a trained psychologist by the NIMHANS, Bangalore, for telephonic support during this COVID-19 crisis. And with this introduction, I would like to invite our respected Madam, Dr. P. Himabindu Garu. And I hand over this session to Madam Himabindu Garu.
Before Madam session starts, one request to all the research persons, kindly stay available till the end of this webinar, because we have allotted an interaction session for lasting for 25 to 30 minutes. And I request all the 4 research persons to be available for interacting with the participants, because many participants are having some questions. They want to still interact with you. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. Next research person can start proceeding.
Himabindu, ma'am, can start your session.
Unmute.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam, for your nice introduction, and thanks to the organizers, Principal Sir and IQAC Coordinator, and also the Head of the Department Zoology for giving me this opportunity. So I know you people are just exhausted by listening to so much of Corona and COVID things. So now I would like to present my PPT in a jovial way. So take it light, don't take it very serious, because it's on mental health. I don't want you to get stressed by looking at all these things. Hope my slides are visible.
Yeah, madam, they are visible. You can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the title I've chosen, Coping with Mental Health During COVID-19 Crisis, because the main crisis which has arisen from this COVID is lockdown. And we have seen that there are several cases of suicide and anxiety disorders and several other mental disorders. And this is one thing which has to be addressed. So we are trying to do that right now. So first, let me go with the question, like what's pandemic and what is lockdown? So people are listening to this word pandemic for the past 2 months or so. But now I'll take you to a lighter note of this pandemic. How does it look like or what it is? Please see this. This is just for laughs. A panda eats an average of 12 hours per day. A person in quarantine eats like a panda. That's why it's called a pandemic. So this is just a joke forwarded by one of my friends. I really liked it. So this is how common people think about pandemic. So they don't understand the difference between epidemic and a pandemic. So I'll just define that in a slide and then I'll take you to other slides. The pandemic, you can see a world map here, how they are being connected, like all the countries are connected like a network. So it's an outbreak of a disease that occurs over a wide geographic area and affects an exceptionally high proportion of the population. So epidemic is like only to a community, a group of people, or in a particular region. So it's just it's restricted to a group of people or a region. But a pandemic is not restricted to a small area, but it is an outbreak in the entire geographic area. So that's the small difference between pandemic and epidemic. Okay, so we know that there is a pandemic. So we have this COVID-19. Should we panic? So should we feel worried about it? Should we have anxiety? Should we have several questions? Should we have fears? I think many of us have. Many of my students complain that they have less sleep, they have some sleeping disorders, eating disorders, and they're not feeling happy. So this is due to the panic which is arising from the lockdown. So you're under lockdown and you feel that you are being restricted, you are put in a jail, and your freedom has been removed from you. So we know that this COVID-19 is taking a grip over the world. It has taken a grip over the world. So in this case, you've been looking at advertisements and several information messages being passed on by our WhatsApp scholars and Facebook scholars about COVID. Wash your hands, sanitize, put mask, use gloves, lockdown, stay safe, social distancing. So you've been hearing to all those words. But how about mental health? Is it a point to be noted, or should you worry about it, or should you think that is your mental health safe and good in this current crisis time? Should you worry? Yes, I say yes. Because our brain is the center of our nervous system. And according to brain, and according to the instructions of the brain, all the organs of our body work. So it is necessary that our brain functions properly and we have a proper mental health without any stress, without any mental disorders. So how does this mental health get affected during lockdown? So we are under lockdown. We don't have any work externally. We are not going outside and nobody is coming into our house. And we are together with the family, but still our mental health is being affected. Why and how? Coronavirus pandemic is including a considerable degree of fear, worry, and concern. How does this fear come from? When we look at the advertisements or when we call up somebody and then the phone says, like, to get protected from coronavirus, you do this, you do that. So తెల్లారులేసి మనం ఎవరికి ఫోన్ చేసినా కూడా ఫస్ట్ వచ్చేది కరోనా వైరస్ అడ్వర్టైజ్మెంట్. అది వినగానే మనకు ఒకలాంటి anxiety. Corona, 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 enti corona, gola. After that, we start fearing, like, am I going to be affected? Somebody passed our house. Does that person have corona? Somebody might have touched our gate. Should I sanitize it? Somebody might have thrown some object into my house which has coronavirus. So will it be transmitted to me? Is it coming through the milk packets which they are supplying? Is it coming from the vegetables which I am consuming? Is it coming through the air which is flowing? So we have lots of fears. So you might not have this fear as such, but there are several people out there, like millions of people out there, who are suffering from several types of fears due to this lockdown and also due to the pandemic. So it's pandemic is like panicking for everything. And then we have worry. What is the worry? Like, what am I going to do next? Staying in the lockdown. Am I going to have surplus food? Am I going to get the household supplies properly? Am I going to get my job back? Am I going to get my half salary back? Several things. And is it going to affect my children? Is it going to affect my parents? Are we taking all proper necessary precautions or not? So we have all these kinds of worries. We have concern. So we have concern for society. We have concern for our own house. We have concern on ourselves. So why this concern? So yeah, there are several people who do not have concern for others. That's a different story. But as a human being, we do have concern for the society, for us. So we think like, what is going to happen? How are they going to survive? So we see so many migrants. They're just walking on the roads like miles and miles, and they do not have any salary. They do not have food. And there are few people dying on the road walking. We have concern for all these things. But all these things are included because of the coronavirus pandemic, and they are suffering. I mean, they are making us suffer with some kind of mental problems. Sorry to interrupt, but somebody is doodling on the screen. Kindly stop it. I see all doodling on the screen. Kindly stop all that, please, whoever it is. Now, so in public mental health terms, the main psychological impact is elevated rates of stress and anxiety. So why this elevated rate of stress or anxiety? Because we have all these things. We have, sorry, is my screen visible to everyone? Hello? Host, can you please confirm whether my screen is visible or not? Hello?
Yeah, ma'am, you can go ahead. It is visible.
It is visible? Okay, right. So you have elevated stress. Yeah, elevated rates of stress. Why do you have elevated rates of stress? Hello? Sir. So this elevated rate of stress will cause hypertensions, and then hypertension related other ailments. And also it will make you feel like I'm not going to live more days. So the virus might have attacked me. I might have been suffering from corona and I don't know. I might be an asymptomatic person. I'm not symptomatic. Is my other member of the house asymptomatic person? Should I be careful with everyone? Should I go anywhere? Should I stay here? So you have several questions in the brain, and then it leads to stress or anxiety. And if you travel somewhere and then the government says you will have to be quarantined. So this quarantine, the term itself makes you feel like, oh no, what is this quarantine? I'm being put in a jail. I don't want to do that. But okay, if you are put, then it has some side effects or it has some effects. What are they? people's usual activities, routines, or livelihoods, and then loneliness. How does this come from? Why is the routine changed? All these days, we know that we wake up in the morning, we get ready for work, we go out, work for 6 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever your duty is, and then you come back. So all these years, you had a schedule, proper schedule, like waking up to sleeping. So you knew what you are going to do from waking up until sleeping. So this was a daily routine. And you know, on Sundays you do this, or on Saturdays you do this, or when to take rest and all. But now, because of this lockdown, you are at home all the time. There is no word like work. But there are several people, they are working from home. So if you are working from home, is it like the same as you did earlier? Like your physical work, I mean, going outside and working? No, it has changed. For us, like academicians, teachers, our life has been like getting onto the screen and asking the students like, am I audible? Am I visible? Is it clear, students? Is there a connectivity? Sorry, my voice went. Students, please mute yourself. Don't cause disturbance. We never used all these words in these years. I mean, for myself, I've been teaching for 15 years. I've never seen such a activity all these years. Yeah, I know preparing PPT and then presenting the PPT to students, or making video lectures sometimes, uploading on YouTube and asking them to see. That was a different story. But now when everything has changed, what is happening is it is putting pressure on my mind, lot of pressure on my mind. So I think like, okay, I need to prepare a PPT. Am I done with the PPT? No, I'll put some more slides, or I'll put some more figures. Do I need to add a video? Again, I'll think like, is there a problem of plagiarism right now? Okay, let me check for plagiarism. If I am unable to check, I'll be panicking, or like I'll have a fear. Like if I am uploading this and if somebody claims of plagiarism, what am I going to do? How about my API scores? What is UGC asking to me? Are the students able to understand what I am telling? Because we don't have proper communication. Now I don't know what my student thinks. Now I don't know whether he's progressing or not. I have several questions as a teacher, as a faculty. So these all things are like changes in my usual activities and also daily routines. I see my children, they wake up like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. Earlier, they would wake up by 6:30 or 7, but now the time has changed. They say like, Mama, we are at home, why should we wake up? The daily routine has changed. So your body has a lot of changes in it because of this lockdown. Your food habits also may change. You might think we have a lot of time in the house. We can watch YouTube videos and prepare several food recipes for ourselves. Eat as much as we can, tasty food. Then cook nice tasty food, put it in the WhatsApp status or Facebook status. All these things, several changes. And then we have livelihoods. So livelihood also has changed. So there are like millions of people who have lost their jobs and who are not getting proper money, and there are businesses which are in loss. So everything has changed. So income has changed, food habits have changed, availability of food has changed, because see, we don't get all the fruits which we get usually, and we don't get all vegetables which we get usually. And even if we get, we have a fear like, okay, is that virus-free fruit? Is that virus-free vegetable? Should I eat this junk food or not? Should I get this or not? We have several thoughts and several fears. Next is loneliness. So this loneliness, I would like to address particularly because I've seen few cases where people were alone, especially teachers. I've seen they are educated, they're highly educated, but they were alone in the house. They were not married. They committed suicide. It is pathetic. But what is causing them to go for suicide? It's not the salary, because government has assured salary. So we are getting salary, and then we are getting vegetables, we are getting household supplies. Okay, it may be less, the quantity may be less, but we are getting everything. Then what is causing loneliness, and why are they going for suicide? Yeah, because see here above, I have mentioned all the psychological problems that are arising because of lockdown. So you are put in lockdown. It's like you are in a zoo, and then you are watching out from the bars in a zoo, and you are just waiting for somebody to come and open the gate so that you'll go out. Especially for extroverts. So there are extroverts. Extroverts ante society lo chaala ekkuva tirigi kalupugoluga unde manusulu. For them, this loneliness is like a hell, because they always want people around. ఎప్పుడు చూసినా మనుషులతో తిరగాలి. మన దగ్గర కొంతమంది అబ్బాయిలు ఉంటారు ఊర్లలో, తెల్లారు లేస్తే వెళ్ళిపోవాలి, వెళ్ళిపోయి ఊరి మధ్యలో అక్కడ చెట్టు దగ్గర లేకపోతే బొమ్మ దగ్గర ఎక్కడో కూర్చోవాలి, ముచ్చట్లు పెట్టుకొని రావాలి. They can't stay at home. These extroverts, like they like partying, they like travel, they like going around shopping, they like going around restaurants, hotels, movies. All these people, there is a sudden change, a sudden kink in their daily routine. Now, this causes loneliness for them if there is no family member in the house. If there are family members, then it's fine. They might help the person. But if there is nobody, the person is alone. What happens in normal times, your neighbors may come and talk to you. పక్కింటి వాళ్ళు వీళ్ళు వచ్చి పలకరించవచ్చు, ఎవరైనా మీకు ఫుడ్ తెచ్చి ఇవ్వచ్చు, పార్టీస్కి పిలవచ్చు, ఇంకేమైనా చేయొచ్చు. కానీ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ లాక్డౌన్ and also social distancing, now nobody is coming to your house, you are not going outside, and then what's happening? This increased thought of loneliness is making you feel that you are unworthy and there is no purpose of life and you don't need to live on this world, and they commit suicides. So that's a big disaster because of loneliness. So as responsible citizens, we need to address this loneliness. And then we have depression. So depression can be caused to anybody. It can be caused to family people. It can be caused to single persons. It's not restricted. And depression, people can be affected from any age. Children can go into depression. Old age people can go. Middle age people can go. Anybody. So there is no age restriction for anyone to go to this depression. I'll tell you what to do with this. Then people may use harmful alcohols and drugs also if they're alone. Why harmful alcohol? I don't know if you have read the news. Like there was a ban on liquor and there were several cases of people drinking hand sanitizers, spirits, nail polish removers, because they all contain alcohols. So these intelligent people were consuming these other items thinking that that can be their alcohol, and then getting admitted into hospital. There few people died also. Dr. Zilfa has her husband working in ESI, and they have several cases like that. So she was telling me. So more than corona cases, we have these cases. So these things, they come from the mental illnesses, mental problems. They are not good in health, in mental conditions. Self-harm, suicidal behavior are also expected to rise. This is another joke. Please see. Laughing at corona memes is like. So in February, you saw a meme. Meme is like a joke. So this is a meme. A photo with a description is a meme. So you have a meme. In the month of February, you were laughing like this. In the month of March, when you looked at some meme, you were like this. And last week of March, it was like this, like in April. And then now it is like this. After some time, you can see here. See the changes in the expression of this person from time to time. So there were jokes. It was nice. You will laugh. You can laugh. But with time, what is happening to the expression of the person. You can see the changes here, right here. So that is the change in your mental health. So that need to be addressed. So when can we know that a person is having physical stress? How do you know? So you can see all these symptoms here. He will have headaches. He doesn't feel hungry. Then there may be lumps in the throat. గొంతులో ఏదో తట్టుకున్నట్టుగా అట్లా అనిపించడము, నెక్ షోల్డర్ పెయిన్, తర్వాత బ్యాక్ పెయిన్స్, అప్సెట్ స్టొమక్ అంటే కడుపు నొప్పి రావడము, లేదా మలబద్ధకము, లేదా మోషన్ సంథింగ్. అండ్ హెవీ చెస్ట్, బ్రీతింగ్ చాలా ఇబ్బందిగా, ఆయాసంగా, ఒకలాగా. దెన్ టైట్ మజిల్స్, అంటే ఫ్రీనెస్ లేకుండా. ఎందుకు ఫ్రీనెస్ లేదు? బికాస్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ మూవింగ్ ఇన్ ద హౌస్. యు ఆర్ సిట్టింగ్ ఇన్ సోఫా or you are going to your bedroom, sleeping on the bed. Sofa, bed, sofa, bed, sofa, bed. ఒకటే రూమ్, రెండే రూమ్స్ ఉన్నాయనుకోండి, అది ఇంకా అధ్వానం. అక్కడే మా ఫ్యాకల్టీ ఒక ఆయన కాల్ చేశారు ఒకరోజు, ఎలా ఉన్నావు మాట్లాడడానికి. ఎలా ఉన్నారు సార్ అని అంటే, ఏం చెప్పమంటావమ్మా, ఎంతసేపు అదే రూమ్లో కూర్చొని నించొని మోకాళ్ళు నొప్పులు వచ్చేస్తున్నాయి, కాళ్ళు నొప్పులు వచ్చేసి నేనేం చేయలేకపోతున్నాను అన్నారు. ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్, దే ఆర్ physical signs of stress with the lockdown. So how do you manage anxiety and isolation during this quarantine? So isolation means keeping you to yourself. You are not mixing with anyone. You are just staying inside a room. See, just like this. If you like it, you will watch others. Otherwise, you will stay in your house. కొంతమందికి ఈ ఛాన్స్ కూడా ఉండదు. చిన్న ఇళ్ళు ఉంటాయి, దగ్గరగా ఉంటాయి. They don't have any space, no కిటికీలు, no doors. There's no proper ventilation. Then what are they going to do? They feel all alone. They feel sick. They feel very sick. So how do you manage this anxiety or isolation during this quarantine? So that is the point to be addressed. So especially for students. So for students and for teachers, I'll tell you separately how you can manage your anxiety and stress. I hope this is a big batch of academicians, all teachers and students. So in that perspective only, I prepared these slides. So please see, students can do all these activities like fun. This girl is doing some online course. Then you can have picking up a hobby. You know, you have had hobbies. చిన్నప్పుడు చాలా హాబీస్ ఉంటాయి. తర్వాత ఏమవుతుంది? No time for anything. Now you have ample time. Pick up your hobby. You had a hobby of playing guitar. You had a hobby of gardening. You had a hobby of knitting. You had a hobby of painting. Pick up your hobby, whatever it was. Just renew your hobbies. Pick your hobbies, start it. Learn music. So music has been found to be a good healer for mental health problems. Very well, very well. So few people like light music, few people like classical music, few people like rock, pop, whatever it is. According to your interest, if you listen to music, that's a soothener. That's very refreshing and your brain works very well. And you can come out of your depression also. That has been proved. Also, you can learn music. If you don't know how to play guitar, start playing one. If you don't know how to sing, learn to sing. If you don't know how to play mouth organ or a casio, just start. We have YouTube videos. You can learn from that. Learn a new language. According to studies, people who know many languages, they do not suffer from Alzheimer's in the later stages. That is, you don't forget things easily. Your brain will be very sharp. It functions very well and quick. So learning a new language is always a good platform. So there are several apps to learn new languages. One of the best apps I would recommend would be Duolingo. 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 So there are several languages available, foreign languages available on Duolingo. You can select one of the languages and you can learn. Do exercise. This is must. You have ample time, so you can exercise. You might think, okay, I'm waking up at 10 o'clock or 11. What am I going to do? So you can exercise at that time, or you can do it in the evening. So take lunch, take proper rest, have a break like 4 hours between your food and exercise. And then you do exercise. Daily 1 hour, minimum of 1 hour exercise a day will keep you your body healthy and also your mind healthy, because there will be a proper blood flow and your mind will be functioning properly. Help in household chores. You might be children and or you might be boys. You might not have helped your mothers until now, but now start helping in household chores. So you can help in washing the dishes, washing clothes, or sweeping and mopping the house, folding clothes, organizing things. Yeah, you can do all this helps to your mother. You can learn to cook. Anybody, boy or girl, anybody can learn to cook, because that is like a savior. It's like going to help you. Then do some meditation. So meditation is not necessarily a religious thing or a Hindu activity. It can be just plain empty. You sit calm and quiet. So you need this calmness. You know, if you are using Apple iPhone, you know, there is an app called Calm. So it will tell you to be calm and quiet. Don't do anything. Do not touch your mobile. Do not touch your laptop. Do not turn on your TV. You just be quiet, very quiet. So when you say meditation, you are just closing your eyes and concentrating on one single point. So that point can be on your face, or it can be any god you like, or any person you like. You just concentrate on that and then be calm. Like you be quiet like for 15 to 20 minutes and take a long deep breath. And then you realize what is the difference to earlier and after meditation. You do it regularly and then you will find peace of mind. You can enchant prayers also. Communicating online with teachers and classmates. So students can do this because they are missing their school, they are missing their college, they're missing their university. You know, my students, they call me up and they say, ma'am, we are missing our class very much. So when I take an online class, they are so happy. They say, oh, ma'am, this has made our day, you know, seeing you back and seeing our friends back. It's very nice. So they start communicating with each other and they feel very happy. So students can do this. They can communicate online with the teachers and also classmates. Playing games with siblings. So now it is the right time to spend with your siblings. In ordinary times, we don't like our siblings. Manaki annalu, akkalu, tamulu, chellalu, nacharu. Kada కొట్టుకోవడము తిట్టుకోవడము అది లాక్కో ఇది లాక్కో ఇదెందుకు అదెందుకు jealousy feeling. కానీ now you have so much time to spend with your siblings, మీ తోటి వాళ్ళతోటి. ఎట్లా, if you are an extrovert person and then your sibling is an introvert, so now this introvert can help you staying at home, because you will feel panicked staying at home. You will feel very bad, but this introvert will help you. So you can spend with your parents good time, grandparents. చక్కగా అష్టాచమ్మ తీసుకోండి, అది పరమపద సోపాన పటము అది కూడా ఆడుకోండి. ఇంకేమన్నా సరే మామూలు ఆటలు ఆన్లైన్ కానివి, కళ్ళు స్ట్రెయిన్ కానివి, ఏదన్నా కూడా ఆడుకోండి, సంతోషంగా గడపండి. ఓకే, స్టూడెంట్స్ అయిపోయింది. టీచర్స్, ఇప్పుడు టీచర్స్ ఏం చేయాలి? యాజ్ టీచర్స్ మనం ఏం చేయాలి? హౌ టు సపోర్ట్ స్టూడెంట్స్ డ్యూరింగ్ లాక్డౌన్. స్టూడెంట్స్కి లాక్డౌన్ మనం చెప్పేసాం, స్టూడెంట్స్ పిల్లలు మీరు ఇది చేసేయండి, కరెక్టే. బట్ యాజ్ టీచర్స్ వాట్ వీఆర్ డూయింగ్, లాక్డౌన్లో ఉన్నాము, మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నాము? మనం కూడా చేయాలండి ఆ పనులు. టీచర్స్ కూడా ఇప్పుడు స్టూడెంట్స్కి ఏం పనులు అయితే చెప్పామో ఆ పనులు టీచర్స్ కూడా చేయాలి. ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ ఎక్స్క్లూజివ్ ఫర్ స్టూడెంట్స్, టీచర్స్ ఆల్సో కెన్ డూ. అది చేస్తూనే ఇది కూడా చేయాలి, స్టూడెంట్స్ని సపోర్ట్ చేయాలి. ఎలా చేస్తాము? చెక్ ఇన్ ఆన్ దెమ్ ఆన్ ఎ రెగ్యులర్ బేసిస్. వాళ్ళని మధ్య మధ్యలో కదిలిస్తుండాలి. వారానికి ఒకసారి అయినా సరే ఒక ఆన్లైన్ మీటింగ్ పెట్టాలి. పెట్టి పిల్లలు ఎలా ఉన్నారు, ఏం చేస్తున్నారు, ఇది చదివారా, అది చదివారా, మీకు అసైన్మెంట్ చెప్పాను కదా, ఓకే మీరు ఏమైనా నేర్చుకున్నారా, కొత్త లాంగ్వేజ్ నేర్చుకున్నారా, ఏదైనా హాబీ పికప్ చేశారా, ఫోటోగ్రాఫ్స్ తీసారా, స్టార్ట్ ఎంకరేజింగ్, start communicating with them. They'll feel happy and you also feel refreshed speaking to your students. Encourage your students to work together. Okay, online lo kuda వాళ్ళు వర్క్ చేయొచ్చు together గా. ఎట్లా, ఒక యాక్టివిటీ పెట్టేసుకొని ఆయన ఈయన ఇద్దరు కలిసి కంప్లీట్ చేసేస్తారు. ఒక టాస్క్ పెట్టేసుకొని తర్వాత మీరు మీటింగ్ పెట్టుకుంటారు, జూమ్ మీటింగ్, మేడం కంప్లీటెడ్. ఇట్స్ అ గ్రూప్ వర్క్, టీమ్ వర్క్. ఎంకరేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ టు కీప్ టేకింగ్ పార్ట్ ఇన్ హోంవర్క్. హోంవర్క్స్ ఇవ్వండి, వాళ్ళకి చిన్న చిన్న అసైన్మెంట్స్ ఇవ్వండి. హోంవర్క్ అని అంటే ఆ బుక్లో ఉన్నది కాపీ పేస్ట్ చేయమని చెప్పడం కాదు, అందులో ఉన్నది ఎసెన్స్ ఏంటి అది రాసుకోండి, లేదు పలానా ప్రాబ్లం ఇది, దీన్ని మీరు కంప్లీట్ చేయండి. అలా అలా వాళ్ళకి క్రియేటివ్గా ఉండే హోంవర్క్స్ ఇవ్వాలి. ఇస్తే వాళ్ళు హ్యాపీగా ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళ బ్రెయిన్ బాగా పనిచేస్తుంది. దెన్ వర్క్ విత్ యువర్ స్టూడెంట్స్ అండ్ కమ్ అప్ with something they can master over the coming weeks. So over the coming weeks, you have a lot of time. So over the coming weeks, you should give them assignments that they can work it out and they can master on it. I mean, there is some person who cannot speak proper English and you will tell, okay, you go and learn French right now. And in 3 weeks, you come back to me after learning that. That's insane. That's not correct. So give something which he can do. Like if a boy is good at taking selfies, you ask him to take good photographs of nature, of his village or of something. You encourage him like that. If somebody is good at equations, ask him to solve a particular equation. Like give a differential equations and then you ask him to solve it, bring it. And then you also can give classes to the students. You can ask one of the students to present his activity. He can start doing it. So be a role model for positive behaviors. Talk to them about some behaviors that you have found useful. So in lockdown lo meeku edaina useful ga anipiste మీరు దాన్ని మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తున్నారు, పిల్లలకు కూడా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయమని చెప్పాలా. I did that. I was learning some language. I suggested that to my students and I was really happy that 4 students have come back to me saying, ma'am, we are learning this language, kindly help us. So that was very nice. So you can do such good activities with your students. Encourage them to take part in weekly class activities, then provide them with 2 resources. So any 1 or 2 resources. ఎక్కువ ఇవ్వకూడదు so that they can't browse. వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కువ డేటా కూడా ఉండకపోవచ్చు మొబైల్లో. సో ఒకటో రెండో ఇవ్వండి, పలానా వీడియో చూడండి బాబు, లేకపోతే పలానా మెటీరియల్ నేను PDF ఇస్తున్నాను, ఇది చదువుకోండి. సో యూ గివ్ సమ్ స్మాల్ రిసోర్స్, స్మాల్ మెటీరియల్ సో దట్ దే కెన్ రీడ్ అండ్ దే కెన్ కమ్ బ్యాక్. దెన్ ప్రమోట్ సెల్ఫ్ కేర్ అండ్ ఎంకరేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ టు డివైజ్ దేర్ ఓన్ లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ దే కెన్ డూ. సో వాళ్ళకి స్వతంత్రం ఇవ్వండి. మొత్తం మీరే డిమాండ్ చేస్తూ ఇది లిస్ట్, మీరు ఇదంతా చేసుకొని తిరిగి వచ్చేసేయండి అనకుండా, మీకు ఏమి ఇష్టమో అది డిజైన్ చేసుకొని మీరు ప్లాన్ చేసుకొని వీక్లీ ప్లాన్ మీరు కమ్ బ్యాక్ అని చెప్పి మీరు పిల్లలకి చెప్పచ్చు. సపోర్ట్ అండ్ ఎంకరేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ టు స్టే కనెక్టెడ్ టు దేర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ అండ్ అదర్ స్టూడెంట్స్. సో we as teachers, not only teachers, we become facilitators because of this online teaching right now. We are facilitators, we are not teachers. So be friendly towards your students, keep your mental health properly, and then also help them, support them in being good in mental health by encouraging them to communicate with other students and also with the teachers. Now these are don'ts. See, I don't want to read because Zilfa and the other members have already shown what are the don'ts and what are the do's. But here, this is specially like for the mental health, not for the physical health. You can read it here. Never spread names or identity of those affected under quarantine on social media. Kada palana vyaktiki corona ochindata, idigondi, idi address, idi peru, idi ikkada, idi correct. మాకు వాట్సాప్లో ఒక మెసేజ్ వచ్చింది, పలానా కాలనీలో పలానా ఇంటి నెంబర్ గల వ్యక్తి, ఈ వ్యక్తి పేరు కూడా ఇచ్చేసి అతనికి కరోనా వచ్చింది. అది ఎంత టెన్షన్ మనుషులకి. తర్వాత ఆ వ్యక్తికి కరోనా తగ్గి ఆయన రిటర్న్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత దే స్టార్ట్ బుల్లింగ్ హిమ్, లైక్ అంటరాని వాడిగా చేసేస్తారు. ఈ వ్యక్తికి ఇది వచ్చింది, వీఆర్ నాట్ అలవింగ్ హిమ్ బ్యాక్ ఇన్ టు ది కాలనీ కమ్యూనిటీ. అవాయిడ్ స్ప్రెడింగ్ ఫియర్ అండ్ పానిక్. సో ఫియర్ పానిక్ వచ్చేలాగా, చూడు పక్క కాలనీలో రెడ్ జోన్ అంట, పక్క వాడికి వచ్చేసిందంట, మనకు కూడా వచ్చేస్తుంది అని చెప్పేసి మనము ఉత్సాహంగా వాట్సాప్లో ఫేస్బుక్లో ఫార్వర్డ్స్ ఇచ్చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. దిస్ ఈస్ నాట్ గుడ్. దిస్ ఈస్ స్ప్రెడింగ్ ఫియర్ అండ్ పానిక్ అమాంగ్ ది సొసైటీ అండ్ దాట్స్ నాట్ గుడ్. Do not target healthcare and sanitary workers. సో టార్గెట్ చేసి వాళ్ళని కొడుతున్నారు, రాళ్ళేసి కొడుతున్నారు healthcare workers ni. So that's a mental problem. So you have a fear that you might think that the health workers are carrying coronavirus and they'll bring it to you, and because of that fear you are going to harm them, you are physically harming them, or you are blaming them, you are bullying them. That's not correct. Do not address the patients as people recovering. Okay, people recovering అని చెప్పాలి కానీ అరే ఆడ పేషెంట్ రా తప్పు, అలా అనకూడదు. ఏం చేయాలి మరి? అప్రిషియేట్ అండ్ బీ సపోర్టివ్. చూడండి ఇక్కడ అప్రిషియేట్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఈ హెల్త్ వర్కర్ బయటకు వస్తుంది ఇంట్లోంచి, అప్రిషియేట్ చేస్తున్నారు. మొన్న చూసాము లైక్ గవర్నమెంట్ పైన హెలికాప్టర్ నుంచి పువ్వులు వర్షం కురిపిస్తా ఉంది హెల్త్ వర్కర్స్ మీద. బట్ దాట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ ఫర్ 1 day, 1 time. The rest of the times there are people out there who are throwing stones, who are beating, who are scolding, who are yelling. నాకు మంచి ఫుడ్ ఇవ్వలేదని అరుస్తున్నారు, ఫెసిలిటీస్ సరిగ్గా ఇవ్వట్లేని అరుస్తున్నారు, సరిగ్గా పని చేయట్లేని అరుస్తున్నారు. బట్ లుక్ ఎట్ దెమ్. ఒక్క రోజు మీరు 2 hours మీ మాస్క్ ని ఉంచుకోండి ఫేస్ మీద. ఓన్లీ 2 hours ఫేస్ మీద మాస్క్ ఉంచుకొని ఒక కవరింగ్ వేసుకోండి, ఫేస్ అంతటికి కవరింగ్ వేసుకొని చేతికి గ్లౌస్ తొడుక్కోండి. ఓన్లీ 2 hours. I bet you cannot do it. So look at the pain of health workers. So when you are mentally stable, you can think about others. మీరు మెంటలీ హెల్తీగా ఉంటే మీరు ఇంకొకరి గురించి ఆలోచించగలరు. అప్పుడు సొసైటీ బాగుంటుంది, హ్యాపీగా ఉంటుంది. సో దిస్ ఈస్ అ పాండమిక్ అండ్ వీ నీడ్ టు ఫైట్ ఇట్ టుగెదర్ కలెక్టివ్లీ. అందరం కలిసి ఫైట్ చేయాలి, ఒక్కరు కాదు. ఒక్క డాక్టర్ ఫైట్ చేస్తే తగ్గిపోయేది కాదు ఇది. ఒక సీఎంఓ ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ ఫైట్ చేస్తే తగ్గిపోయేది కాదు. ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ప్రపంచంలో పుట్టి బ్రతికి ఉన్న ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ఫైట్ చేస్తేనే దీని నుంచి మనకి విముక్తి. షేర్ ఓన్లీ authentic information from government sources, ministry and WHO. సో ఏది వచ్చేసింది కదా, నాకు వచ్చేసింది కాబట్టి, నాకు ఫ్రీ ఇంటర్నెట్ కాబట్టి నేను ఫార్వర్డ్ చేసేస్తాను అనుకోకుండా, అది కరెక్టా కాదా, వచ్చిన మెసేజ్ ఆథెంటికా కాదా, ప్లీజ్ చెక్ ఇట్ ఫ్రమ్ ది గవర్నమెంట్ సోర్సెస్ ఆర్ ది మినిస్ట్రీ ఆఫ్ హెల్త్ and also World Health Organization. Please check on their websites. See, now you have Google for everything. Just Google it whether the information is correct or not. చేసిన తర్వాత authentic information పాస్ చేయాలి. సో కొన్ని రోజుల క్రితం వచ్చింది ఒక ముస్లిం అతను ఫ్రూట్స్ మీద ఉమ్ము రాసి అమ్ముతున్నాడు అని. అంటే హీ స్ప్రెడింగ్ కరోనా వైరస్ అని చెప్పి పెద్ద ధమాకా అయిపోయింది, అంటే చాలా పెద్ద ఇష్యూ అయింది అది. కానీ ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఈస్ that video was taken before corona. It was not after corona, it was before corona, and that person was a mentally challenged person. He did not have proper mental health, so he was treated later on. But without knowing the authenticity of that message, there are group of people who forward this and they say like, okay, palana group వాళ్ళు మనకి కరోనా వైరస్ అంటిస్తున్నారు, సో పళ్ళు కొనొద్దు, కూరగాయలు కొనొద్దు, వాళ్ళని రానివ్వద్దు. ఇలాంటి తప్పుడు ప్రచారాలు, తప్పుడు ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మనము ఇచ్చే ముందు ఒక్కసారి గవర్నమెంట్ వెబ్సైట్స్ లో చెక్ చేసుకొని దెన్ వి విల్ డూ ఇట్. సో క్రాస్ చెక్ ఎనీ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ రిలేటెడ్ టు COVID-19 ఫ్రమ్ రిలయబుల్ సోర్సెస్. మీరు ఫార్వర్డ్ చేసే ముందు సపోజ్ అంటారు ఈ రోజు 1000 కేసెస్ వచ్చినాయంట దేశంలో, అసలు అవునా కాదా మీకు తెలుసా? ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయండి, గవర్నమెంట్ వెబ్సైట్ చెక్ చేయండి. చెక్ చేసిన తర్వాతే అది షేర్ చేసుకోండి. తర్వాత షేర్ పాజిటివ్ స్టోరీస్ ఆఫ్ దోస్ హూ హ్యావ్ రికవర్డ్. చాలా మంది రికవర్ అవుతున్నారు, చాలా అంటే చాలా మంది 80% రికవర్ అయిపోతున్నారు. సో అలాంటి స్టోరీస్ షేర్ చేయండి. నాకు తెలిసిన 2 ఉన్నారు, ఆంటీ అంకుల్, వాళ్ళు 70+ years వాళ్ళకి ఇద్దరికి, వాళ్ళు అసలు హాస్పిటలైజ్ కూడా అవ్వలేదు, ఎలాంటి మందులు వాళ్ళది, ఇంట్లో సెల్ఫ్ క్వారంటైన్ చేసుకున్నారు, ఐసోలేట్ చేసేసుకున్నారు, 3 weeks రెస్ట్ తీసుకున్నారు, జస్ట్ మంచిగా ఆరోగ్యం బాగా చూసుకున్నారు, క్యూర్ అయిపోయారు, రికవర్ అయిపోయారు. సో యూ కెన్ షేర్ సచ్ పాజిటివ్ స్టోరీస్. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ హెల్దీ యు ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు బి good, but you have to take precautions. సో దేనికి మనం నో చెప్పాలి? అయితే ఇప్పుడు సోషల్ స్టిగ్మా వస్తుంది కరోనా వైరస్ గురించి. ఎందుకు? మనం కాలు బయట పెడతాం, కొన్ని రోజులు అయితే ఎవరైనా దగ్గరకు వస్తున్నారు, కరోనా వైరస్ ఉందేమో వాడికి, నా దగ్గరకు వచ్చేస్తున్నాడు, గాల్లోంచి వచ్చేస్తుందో, లేకపోతే వాడు టచ్ చేస్తాడో, ఇంకేదైతుందో, లేకపోతే ఫుట్ నుంచి అది అతను నడిచిన ప్లేస్ లో ఉందేమో, నా చెప్పులు కంటేసుకుందేమో. So ilanti problems though we will have a social stigma, and then we have to say no to this social stigma. You have to take precautions, but do not panic about this. Then survivors often suffer from anxiety, stress and trauma due to social stigma. Why social stigma? Because you are just abandoning them, you're putting them aside, you treat them as untouchables, and then that causes a lot of stress and trauma. Already వాళ్ళు 3 weeks isolation లో ఉంటారు, జైల్లో ఉన్నట్టు, without any human interaction, అక్కడికే సఫర్ అవుతారు. వచ్చిన తర్వాత with the social stigma they will be suffering from anxiety, stress and trauma. So this is our duty to see that our friends are in good health. It is unscientific and inhuman to isolate people post recovery. So recovery తర్వాత మనం వాళ్ళని ఐసోలేట్ చేస్తూ వాళ్ళని అబాండన్ చేయటము అనేది ఇట్స్ ఇన్హ్యూమన్, ఇట్స్ నాట్ హ్యూమన్. Safer to interact with a person recovered from COVID. Then a recovered person can no longer spread the virus. సో ఈ విషయం మనం గుర్తుపెట్టుకొని ముందుకెళ్ళాలి. తర్వాత ఇంట్లో ఉన్నాము, ఇంట్లో ఉండి ఏం చేయాలి? రెస్ట్ పీస్ఫుల్లీ, చక్కగా ప్రశాంతంగా పడుకొని పుస్తకాలు చదువుకోండి. అస్తమాను ఫోన్ చూసి కంప్యూటర్ టీవీ చూస్తే కళ్ళు పాడవుతాయి. సో టేక్ ఏ బుక్ అండ్ దెన్ స్టార్ట్ రీడింగ్ ఎనీ బుక్. You can do yoga, meditation to be peaceful. You can do pranayam. Then, so these are the things we have to remember to take care of mental health during social distancing. ఏమేమి అవి? గెట్ సమ్ ఫ్రెష్ ఎయిర్ అండ్ టేక్ రెగ్యులర్ బ్రేక్స్. మధ్య మధ్యలో బ్రేక్స్ తీసుకున్నారు. కూర్చున్నారు కంప్యూటర్ మీద పని చేయడానికి. సో డోంట్ సిట్ ఫర్ ఎ లాంగ్, అంటే 4 గంటలు 5 గంటలు ఒకటేసారి కూర్చోకుండా హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్కి అట్లా బ్రేక్స్ తీసుకోండి. రెగ్యులర్ బ్రేక్స్ తీసుకుంటూ కాస్త నడుస్తూ అటు ఇటు, కాస్త మంచినీళ్ళు తాగుతూ, కాస్త డోర్ బయటకు వెళ్ళేసి ఫ్రెష్ ఎయిర్ తీసుకుంటూ అలా చేయండి. ఇండల్జ్ ఇన్ సమ్ స్క్రీన్ ఫ్రీ యాక్టివిటీస్. స్క్రీన్ ఫ్రీ అంటే కంప్యూటర్, మొబైల్, టీవీ ఇలాంటి స్క్రీన్స్ లేని యాక్టివిటీస్. అంటే ఈ మధ్య ఏదో ఆడుతున్నారండి, లూడో అనుకుంటాను, లూడో ఆడుతున్నారు మొబైల్లో ఫ్యామిలీస్ కలిపి, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ అ స్క్రీన్ గేమ్. అలా కాదు, మీరు మామూలుగా స్క్రీన్ లేని ఆటలాడండి. చిట్టీలనో, కార్డ్స్ అనో, లేకపోతే అష్టచమ్మానో అలా ఏదైనా ఆడండి స్క్రీన్ లేకుండా. ట్రై న్యూ కోపింగ్ టెక్నిక్స్ దట్ ప్రమోట్ అ సెన్స్ ఆఫ్ కామ్. సో మీరు మెడిటేషన్ చేయాలనే కాదు, ఇంకేదన్నా కూడా చేయొచ్చు, మీ ఇష్టం. తర్వాత organize virtual lunches, check up on friends and family. సో పోస్ట్ లాక్డౌన్ ఏం చేయాలి మీరు? ఇదొక జోక్ మళ్ళీ చూడండి. మీతో చాలా చనువుగా ఉంటున్నాడు, ఎవడీడు అని మీ గురించి అడుగుతున్నాడు. లాక్డౌన్ అని ఇప్పుడు ఉంటున్నారు, కానీ ఎప్పుడైనా మీ ఇంట్లో ఉండడం, పిల్లాడితో గడపడం చేస్తే కదా అని భార్య తిడుతోంది ఇక్కడ. అంటే before lockdown you were something else. You were never at home, you never spent time with family, but now you are there in the family. So make it a habit, just make it a habit and spend with the family. Continue with all the good habits acquired during lockdown. Maintain social distance, maintain hygiene. Then don't be obsessed. సో అదే పనిగా కడిగేయాలి అని చెప్తే చేతుల మీద ఉన్న తోలు ఊడిపోతుందండి, బ్యాక్టీరియా వైరస్ ఏమో కానీ. Take precautions to prevent viral and bacterial infections and be responsible citizens. So this is the last slide. Please see. If you compulsively react, external situations determine how you are right now. If you consciously respond, your well-being is very much in your hands. So మీ మెంటల్ హెల్త్, మీ వెల్బీయింగ్ మీ చేతుల్లోనే ఉంది. ఎవరో చేతుల్లో కాదు, బయట వాళ్ళ చేతుల్లో కాదు, మీ కుటుంబస్తుల చేతుల్లో కాదు, మీ చేతుల్లోనే ఉంది. And as a family member, you can help your family members to be good. So be good to yourself. So this is the last sentence. Be good to yourself. మీకు మీరు మంచిగా ఉండండి, ఆటోమేటిక్గా అందరూ మంచిగానే ఉంటారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you, Dr. P. Himabindu Madam, for enlightening us on mental health aspects, which is of prime concern in these critical days, as it may affect the complete lifestyle of the living being. Now I can say coping with mental health is a vital life skill. In this context, the lecture delivered by Dr. P. Himabindu helps us to develop this vital life skill. Once again, thanks a lot, ma'am, for delivering an enlightening lecture. At this juncture, let's have an interaction session. As all the resource persons are available online, I request the participants to ask the questions or doubts, if any.
ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయండి? ఏమీ లేకపోతే I'll just thank the organizers, Miss Principal Sir and Head Zoology and other resource persons, and special thanks to Zilfa for agreeing to talk today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Any questions, Sunita?
Yeah, Bindu, waiting for their response.
It's very late. I think
Yes,
we should wind up.
Yes.
I'm really sorry. I went in. I couldn't see the time here while I was presenting. My screen was just filled and I squeezed the time. Yeah. Any question? No question?
I request the participants, if any questions, please post in the chat box. If no questions, we move further.
If there are no questions, we'll just call it off for this day. And participants, if you want to interact, if you want to talk, you can take our mail address from the organizers and you can mail us anytime. We'll be happy to help you if you have any mental health problems or any queries regarding that. If I cannot do it, I can address you to somebody who can help you properly with that.
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yes. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Aruna gar cheppandi.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Dr. Aruna Kumari from Government Degree College, Puttur.
Madam cheppandi.
Really, I enjoyed your session, ma'am. From the first slide to the end slide.
Thank you, madam.
Presentation, and really, you have enlightened everything. As such, it's really whoever are in lockdown, feeling stressful, and all those things from past 45 days. Really, it was a superb session. I wanted to appreciate you personally. Very good. Really, I'm thanking the organizers.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your nice words.
And also, I had a question before my dear Swati from Government Degree College, Puttur. She has also presented very nicely. I want to appreciate her also. She has given a vast knowledge to us about the history of viruses and spreading everything. And I posted one question for not particular to one person. That is now plasma therapy treatment is started now for COVID-19. How far it is useful in getting rid of this virus, and to how many it can be available? That I posted that question. And also one more thing I want to know that COVID-19 is going to hit back during September, October months. It seems. How we are going to face that pandemic again? So these were my questions. I already posted in a chat box. Yes, ma'am. Hello. 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 It's not audible, ma'am.
As we are running short of time, I'm proposing the vote of thanks on behalf of the Department of Zoology, JDC Ravulapalem'S. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks on this special event. First of all, I would like to thank our esteemed Honorable Commissioners and RJDs for giving us the opportunity to conduct such a webinar. I like to extend my heartfelt thanks for support from the academic side. I would like to thank the principal, Dr. B.V. Tirupanyam, who is the initiator and backbone of this webinar. And thanks to IQAC coordinator, Dr. K. Srinivas Rao, who is instrumental in smooth going of this webinar. And my special thanks to Srimati U. Subhashini, lecturer in computer science, who strived a lot in bringing up the brochure as well as the certificate. Also, I thank Sri B.V.V. Satyamurthy, Vice Principal of the college, Sri T. Gandhi, Dr. T. Srivaram, Srimati Karunasri, Srimati A. Rajeshwari, Sri A.V.N. Balaji, Sri Chinababu, Srimati G. Subnani, Srimati M. Hemalata, Srimati Sunanda, Sri Venkateswar Rao, Sri Durga Babu, Sri Venkatesh, Dr. Srinivas, Sri Sundarami Reddy, Sri Chakrai Garu, and Srimati Bharati, without whose support we cannot achieve this success. My special and heartfelt thanks for the resource persons for making this webinar lively. Also, I thank TRR GDC Kandukur for their remarkable technical assistance. And also, I thank all the participants and their principals who make this webinar a grand event. Last but not the least, thanks from all of us to Zoom app, which make this event possible in this lockdown. Thank you, one and all. Now let's end this session with our national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. Jana Gana Mana Adinayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jaladi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Shishamage Gahe Tava Jaya Gada Jana Gana Mangala Dayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He. Thank you all. Disperse. Okay.
హలో హలో మరి వినిపిస్తుందండి? హలో హలో Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sir, వినిపిస్తుంది సార్, మాట్లాడండి.
Madam.
సార్ వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
ఓకే అండి, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్, హార్టీ కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్. చాలా బాగా జరిగింది.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ గ్రాండ్ సక్సెస్. అంత టీం అంతా బాగా పనిచేశారు. హార్టీ కంగ్రాచులేషన్. దో ఇట్ ఇస్ ఫస్ట్ వెబినార్ కండక్టెడ్ బై అవర్ కాలేజ్. ఓకే, ఆల్మోస్ట్ 99% నో ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఆర్ దేర్. జస్ట్ నా దగ్గర కొంచెం ఇంటర్నెట్ ప్రాబ్లం అయింది. మీరు కంటిన్యూ చేశారు కోహోస్ట్ గా. అసలు చాలా బాగా జరిగింది. మీకే కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్ సునీత గారు. అండ్ ఆల్సో కంగ్రాచులేట్ ఆల్ ఆర్గనైజింగ్ మన వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. ఇంకా రాజేశ్వరి గారు, శ్రీనివాస్ గారు. హలో, అందరిని అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి మేడం, అందరూ అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి.
ఉందండి. 3 రోజులు 4వ తారీఖును 11వ తారీఖు 18వ తారీఖు ఉన్న 4 నుంచి 5 గంటల వరకు. పంపానండి అందరికి, మొత్తం అందరికి ఎప్పటికప్పుడు. గంగాధర్ మన స్టూడెంట్ ఉన్నారు కదా
మేడం, మన కాలేజీ వాళ్ళే మ్యూట్ లో చేయండి, మిగిలిన వాళ్ళందరూ మ్యూట్ చేయండి మేడం. మన కాలేజీ వాళ్ళని, రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్ నుంచి మిగిలిన వాళ్ళందరినీ మ్యూట్ లో ఉంచండి మేడం.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్, ఐ యామ్ డూయింగ్.
ఓకే.
శ్రీనివాస్ గారు.
సార్.
హలో
సార్.
హార్టీ కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్ సార్, చాలా బాగా చేశారు. మీరు ఆర్గనైజింగ్ సెక్రటరీ అండ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ జువాలజీ. ద టీమ్ వర్క్ హ్యాస్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్లీ ప్లేడ్ వెల్. చక్కగా ఫస్ట్ వెబినార్ చాలా బాగా చేసాము. నాకు లాస్ట్ లో ఇంట్లో పవర్ పోయిందండి. పవర్ పోవడం వల్ల లేదు, ఇట్ ఈస్ అవర్ కలెక్టివ్ ఎఫర్ట్. చాలా బాగా చేశారు. ఎస్పెషల్లీ మేడం హ్యాస్ కమ్ ఫార్వర్డ్ విత్ ఏ గుడ్ టైటిల్ టాపిక్. అది
సార్, రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్ సార్, రియల్లీ రిసోర్స్ఫుల్.
నిజంగా రిసోర్స్ఫుల్, మంచి వాళ్ళు సెలెక్ట్ చేశారు మేడం. యాక్చువల్లీ మనకి నేను చూసాను 222 మాక్సిమం వచ్చారు
సార్.
222 మాక్సిమం మనకి పార్టిసిపేట్ చేశారు. సుభాషిణి మేడం, అదేవిధంగా మన రాజేశ్వరి మేడం. మేడం హలో, ఉన్నారా? రాజేశ్వరి గారు, heartfelt thanks to you on behalf of the college. Thank you so much for your effort, for your contribution to the successful conduct of this event. అదేవిధంగా మన ఆల్ స్టాఫ్ మెంబర్స్, మూర్తి గారు, గాంధీ గారు, అందరికీ కూడా హలో. అలాగే రీసోర్స్ పర్సన్స్ కూడా, స్టాఫ్ మెంబర్స్ అందరికీ థ్యాంక్స్ అండి. అదేవిధంగా ఆల్ రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్స్ కూడా కాలేజ్ తరఫున హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేసుకుంటున్నాం. ముఖ్యంగా మనకి ఈ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ఇచ్చినటువంటి టిఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజ్ I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the resource persons, namely Dr. Jilpa Sheikh, Dr. Swati, Dr. Hemabindu, and Dr. Kasturi Sharma garu. Thank you very much for being with us, and your knowledge is unparalleled. Almost all participants evince interest in your sessions. They are all appreciation for your knowledge and authority about this subject. Thank you very much for giving your consent and participating in this national webinar. And this is our first ever webinar, resource person, dear resource persons. And only your presence had added color, and your presence was responsible for the successful conduct of this national webinar. Thank you so much. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and Dr. Swati garu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Your knowledge is unparalleled. Actually, your presentation is so much spectacular. You have made it very spectacular, and the explanation is so vast, covered all areas.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this chance.
Really, as Madam mentioned, it seems you are really a walking encyclopedia. Okay. Thank you so much. Sunita ma'am. Hello.
Sir,
Sunita ma'am. You did a wonderful job. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I express my gratitude to you, because this is our first webinar and really made it successful. Thank you very much for your ingenious efforts. Really paid dividends. Srinivas garu, Subhashni madam annara? Subhashni madam garu. Okay. Madam, from my side, convey her my best wishes, my heartfelt thanks. Cheppandi. అలాగే రాజేశ్వరి మేడం అందరూ కూడా చక్కగా చాలా టీం వర్క్ చేశారు. అసలు ఫస్ట్ డే చాలా సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అయింది. ఏమండి? హలో శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, మరి నెక్స్ట్ ఏమన్నా చేయండి, మరి స్టార్ట్ చేయండి. ఎకనామిక్స్ ఒకటి ఉంది అనుకున్నాము, తర్వాత చూడండి ఒకసారి.
అలాగే సార్.
కొంచెం మన చిన్నబాబు గారిని కొంచెం మోటివేట్ చేసి చేయండి. జస్ట్ టేక్ 22 తీసుకోండి.
ఓకే సార్.
అది కూడా చేస్తే బాగుంటుందని నా ఉద్దేశం. గాంధీ గారు, మూర్తి గారు, అలాగే హిస్టరీ మేడం, ఆల్ గెస్ట్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ, ఆల్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ అందరికి నా హార్ట్ ఫెల్ థ్యాంక్స్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. ఏమండి?
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
ఓకే అండి. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. మరి మేడం ఇది చూడండి, సర్టిఫికెట్స్ అందరికి ఇచ్చేయండి. ఎవరైతే రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ చేసి అందరికి ఇచ్చేయండి మేడం. అది ఒకసారి చూడండి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే, అది ఒక 2-3 days తీసుకోండి. ఎవరు రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ చేసుకుని అందరికి ఇచ్చేద్దామా ఆల్మోస్ట్. ఓకే సార్. మూర్తి గారు, మీ ఉద్దేశం ఏంటి చెప్పండి. వాట్ ఈస్ యువర్? హలో మూర్తి గారు.
ఆయన మ్యూట్ అయ్యి ఉంది సార్. అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి సార్. అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి. ఆయనైనా అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి సార్. మూర్తి గారు, మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి.
సార్
చెప్పండి. హౌ ది సెషన్స్ వెంట
సార్ చాలా బాగుంది సార్.
నాకైతే చాలా బాగా జరిగింది. ఫస్ట్ అయినా సరే బాగా చేసామని నా ఉద్దేశం.
సార్ బాగుంది సార్.
ఓకే అండి. గాంధీ గారు లేరా? గాంధీ గారు ఓకే అండి. చిన్నవి ఏమైనా ఉన్నా, పవర్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, నెక్స్ట్ టైం రెక్టిఫై చేసుకుందాం. చెప్పండి సార్.
బాగుంది సార్, చాలా బాగుంది. అందరూ నేను కూడా ఒక క్వశ్చన్ అడిగాను సార్. అంటే అందులో యాక్చువల్గా ఐస్ అంటున్నారు కదా. సరే సార్. అంటే ఏం లేదు సార్. అంటే రేపటి నుంచి ట్రైన్స్ ఇప్పుడు అంటున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు కొత్త సమస్యలు మళ్ళీ.
ఓకే అండి. ఓకే అండి. ఇప్పటికే లేట్ అయిపోయింది. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.
చాలా మంది
థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ అండి. ఇప్పటికి లేట్ అయిపోయింది. వన్స్ అగైన్ కంగ్రాచులేట్ ఆల్ ది స్టాఫ్ మెంబర్స్, బోత్ టీచింగ్ యాజ్ వెల్ as non-teaching staff, especially the organizing committee headed by Sunita madam and Dr. K. Srinivas Sagar. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you sir.
Nice day sir. Nice day.
Okay, let us.
Okay sir, I am ending the session sir.
Okay madam, you can.
Okay sir, I am ending the session.
అందరూ కూడా బాగున్నాయండి లెక్చర్స్. బాగున్నాయి అందరివి బాగున్నాయి. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ ఆర్గనైజింగ్ సచ్ ఎ